Hello there! From behind the yellow line, this is Trammin episode 225. My name is Kirk, and today I'm joined by my friend and the Walt Disney Company will watch his Twitter with great interest, Freddy.
What's up, everybody? Our Big Thunder topic of the week is Whispers of Tomorrow, D23 predictions.
The future is now, old man.
Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard Trammin, a Disneyland podcast. Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding. As a courtesy to other passengers, we ask that there be no eating, drinking, or smoking on board. In just a few moments, we will begin our trip into the Disneyland Resort news and topic of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, this tram is ready to depart. Driver, you are clear.
Welcome back to Trammin, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We're your hosts, Kirk and Freddy. What's up, Freddy?
Hey, doing good. Sorry Rain can't make it today, but we'll do great things without him, unfortunately.
Welcome back to America. Home of this mess that's been going on. That's fine. But let's clean up the mess and cover everything in Chrome with mousekeeping. This is why Rain does. Okay, mousekeeping. If this is your first time here, welcome aboard Trammin, a Disneyland podcast where Rain and I talk about the Disneyland Resort through and sometimes through other people's eyes. Listen to full episodes every Wednesday or topic-only uploads on Big Thunder Thursdays. If you enjoy the show, like, subscribe, comment, and review us wherever you can, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course, Rain's favorite YouTubes. For a visual guide of the show, follow at Trammin Podcast on Instagram. And to write into the show, head to trammin.com/ask. While you're on trammin.com, catch up on lore, check out our recommendations, or download some artwork for your personal use. If you want to chat with us on Discord, ask us how. And you can find all these links and lore on trammin.com. So, because yes, you can. Couple things. I think the reason I was not going to mention it, but I always do. The reason we're not on video, we don't have any cards, but I think the true reason is because a couple days ago, I'm like, oh, I should remind people that we are on YouTube and they can watch us. And here we are. That is not true today.
Not true today.
But if you want to watch us for 3 hours, go check us out there. YouTube Music, the app has podcasts. That's a whole thing. Spotify emailed me about video, but I think now it's exclusive to people who use Spotify for podcasts.
Yeah, I think there's some type of subscription thing that you're going to have to pay in order to get that as part of their services.
Yeah, it's and you have to be uploading directly to them.
Yeah.
I feel like they're trying to figure out the other thing because right now it uses podcast feeds.
Yeah.
And it would have no way to sync up because Spotify's whole thing when they launched video was you can turn off the video and the audio just continues. Although, I don't know. If they ever figure it out, we're ready to go. We have all our videos.
Which is great, yeah.
Yeah. So we have the raws, and I told Rain one day we just have to just upload the finals. We don't need the raw. What are we cutting footage for?
No.
Nothing. And we don't have stuff over it anyway, so we'll delete all that someday. And I will someday update the lore page and recommendations. This was going to be a recommendations episode, but ended up not being that. So let's get in some news. Got some news, but no headlines for you guys. Let's talk about unions.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a coalition of unions. So a union of unions.
Yes.
At Disneyland, at the Disneyland Resort, and they have authorized the strike, yes? Or they're voting to authorize the strike?
They are going to vote to authorize the strike on the 19th.
That's still a big thing to vote for the strike authorization.
And this is the second time they've done it in recent memory, because 2 years ago was the last big union negotiation with Disney about new wages and such, and that also broke down in a very similar way. So on the 11th of July is when they're having a info session for cast members. So we'll probably hear more at that time. They do have a very active social media presence through, it's called Disney Workers Rising, that you can find them on social media, and they'll post bits of information on their negotiations with Disney or lack thereof due to a lack of cooperation. Either way, it had gotten all the way up to government intervention and kind of mediation at that point because of the standstill. And I guess that didn't even go anywhere. So now officially they are going to recommend the cast members to vote for a strike on the 19th of July, and we will see what happens there. They did use a little bit of phrasing that might make it like not a full true strike, but a strike in certain ways at the resort. So don't think of it as, oh, Disneyland's shutting down. Think of it as like you're going to see cast members outside on picket lines all the time.
Oh, so like they're still going to work.
Potentially. But you would get an active like presence where you're going to have a lot more. Like, I'm not sure how they're going to make that work, but it's interesting.
Why aren't they just going scorched earth?
I think there's certain things that they might not be able to do. And it's one of those things that over time, originally the contracts would all be voted on at the same time. And now it's Disneyland that's voting for a potential strike. California Adventure's negotiations aren't until later. So now they've split the two workforces. So in Disney's eyes, if they did have a full true strike happening where they did have to shut down attractions, they could pull people from California Adventure to work at Disneyland while that strike took place until it ran into another potential strike. Either way, it's not looking so good for the mouse. And this is just another headline in a lot of news lately about unions and Disney. Most recently, you might have seen a lot of news around entertainment at the resort and their struggles. Even this group, this coalition of unions, they are actually taking Disney to court over buttons that were being worn at the resort. Yeah. So they had cast members who were wearing these little buttons with a Mickey fist in the air, just saying that they were, a member of the union supporting the negotiations. And they would get disciplined for that. And there was a Supreme Court ruling in the past that said you can't do that. So Disney's already in hot water over that, and now they're going into this. So
at what point, this is just like not even devil's advocate, just a curiosity. At what point does union representation turn into like going against costume guidelines?
And that's exactly what I think Disney was arguing is like, technically speaking, you can't wear those because it's costuming. But ultimately, in particular in other countries and stuff like that, Disney's already run into freedom of expression issues with their costume guidelines. They actually used costume guidelines in the past, and this has actually like been reported on, to racially profile their cast members in terms of hiring. So you wouldn't be allowed to work in certain places because you didn't fit the theme or fit the costume thematically, and that became a discrimination like lawsuit issue. So it's one of those things where it's like they don't want to play, like they shouldn't play this game. Like it's not going to end well for them.
Yeah, I feel like now, how big were these buttons?
Small, as far as I'm aware on social media, it was not that
like those
big
mini buttons.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah, like just a small one.
I feel like if they were the big birthday size ones, they would say like, "Hey, okay, now it's one thing to note, like those little tiny ones you could notice." I'm not on Disney's side here. I don't know why I'm looking at the camera. I'm not on Disney's side here. I'm just like curious about like, the machinations of all this. Like, yeah, something big is distracting and it does take you out of the theme. And people had the argument about tattoos, but tattoos are different. That's like your body, and even then they have a limit on the tattoos.
Yeah. Really, I feel like this is a trap set up for Disney, like by the unions of like, we know that legally speaking, they can't do anything, that they can't discipline these cast members. They can't do anything like that, even though they have, and they've attempted to fire people over it, which is really, you're messing with people's livelihoods there. But it's one of those situations where it's okay, let's see what we can do. It is a little bit provocative, but it's also on purpose because it's drawing attention to the issue. The same reason that they had cast members in costume, they didn't have their name tags on, but in costume, handing buttons out to guests in support of the union, handing out balloons to guests in support of the union. And those balloons made it into the park, which is crazy because you'd have shots and it's like, that's not a Mickey balloon, but here it is. But just drawing attention to the issue. And I think that's been their whole thing is this is the most, when I did work for the company, it was one of those issues of organization and that the union kind of failed very often to get attention on things that were important. And this time they clearly brought people in who had social media knowledge, had knowledge of how to actually create a sense of attention around the issues at present.
I'm wondering if, is them not striking for real like part of the cast members love working at Disney type of deal?
No, I think it's more of there's a certain amount that they can do, and then there's a certain amount where they're like, but we also don't want to risk Disney doing something that it did in the past, which is bringing in outside people and just, hey, go stand here and do that. Like there was issues in like I think there was a strike in the 90s where they actually had people working the rides who definitely should not have been working the attractions. They had issues where they were putting people in there and it became kind of a safety hazard. And there might be contractual things with, in particular, stuff like attractions where actually, like, there's a certain amount of departments that could strike, say like custodial, for example. And it's like, cool, now there's just no one to clean up the garbage. That's a problem. But it also doesn't impede with safety as much as somebody working a ride. Like, there might be things where you technically can't strike because of certain issues.
So here's the thing. This is a very American problem.
Yeah.
And it's very odd that it's an American problem because we're all about freedom.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be, and realistically there isn't because you could do whatever you want. Oh, you're not allowed to strike.
Yeah.
Strike.
Yeah.
You want something to happen, strike. And if there's a safety issue, that's not the Teamsters Union fault. That's Disney's fault for moving forward without the properly trained people.
Yes.
And it's like, I feel crazy saying this as someone who owns a business. Like, have a backbone. If you're not going to get paid anyway, right? Or that maybe that's the other thing. They don't know. I don't know how big they might not have a big strike fund.
And I think that's one of the things, because it's only been 2 years since the last contractual obligation, and even then they were talking about our strike fund's relatively limited, but we're going to do this anyway. I don't.
But it's like Disney's not scared.
No.
And they're going to picket outside, whatever. Yeah. People don't like picketers.
No.
In this world, too, people don't like picketers. If they don't show up, though, like, people are going to be mad anyway.
Yeah.
No one's going to stop going to Disneyland. That's just straight up. No one's ever going to stop going to Disneyland. You got to make the company sweat, and you got to go on strike. And I said this a while ago. I say this from a place of privilege, but the whole, like, go get yours, the Starbucks workers who were like, they went without pay. They had no strike fund.
Yeah.
When they were unionizing, it's like, you got to hurt a little bit. But you hurt a little bit, they hurt a little more. They need you a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because if you're that big of a workforce, they can't replace you in a day, and they won't. And they're under so much hot water. They're not going to fire everyone.
Yeah.
And it's like you have a chance to take the upper hand here. Sure, they can bring DCA over or whatever, but then you could piss off all the DCA workers.
And then when they come to vote, now you're ending up in an issue. And that's kind of what happened even with the Hollywood strikes, where we saw one group strike and then it kind of led to another one. And
they support each other. And like I said it here, like the Teamsters famously are like, we're a union. We're not crossing a picket line.
No.
Sorry, productions. Like, I'm not driving my truck here. I'll drive around and do the work you asked me to. I'm not crossing them, though.
No.
And that's the thing. Like,
in the end, like, okay, the whole idea of what type of strike is or how is it going to be managed, those are all questions that are going to come on the 11th. But like, they made it sound like, okay, maybe it's going to be not a true strike. Like, I'm not sure what they're talking about there. But even then, it's like, I'm not necessarily knowledgeable of what's going on at the moment. It's just kind of what they're making announcements and what you can read in the LA Times, for example.
But you want something, work stoppage.
Yeah.
That's straight.
Well, I think that is what they're trying to threaten here. They're trying to threaten, okay, it's gotten this bad. You guys don't want to move. Last time it was bad enough that, as far as I was aware, Josh DeMar, like literally the executives at the company, had to tell Disneyland Resort, you need to settle with the unions because you can't have it get to a full strike. And if it gets to a full strike, that's already, they're seeing, poor business for the summer. It's going to get much worse.
Yeah. And especially like things are already falling apart at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Just enough, like, it's still just not bad enough for it to be like the other places people would go to, so people don't care. But yeah, custodial, like 15 minutes without custodial is probably no good,
Yeah.
Like, so people really need to, step up and do, like, go hard at this thing. Otherwise, you're going to be back here in 2 more years getting a whatever deal. But if you scare a company and actually affect things, then you'll get more of what you want, what you need. And again, I know I've never been in this position or in a position where I'm not going to get paid. I understand. But it's also like this, here's your chance. And, we have this whole weird thing on like, oh, air traffic control is not allowed to strike. It's like, they can strike. And then it gets weird where, oh, they could be thrown in jail because it's illegal. And then you just go, well, slavery is illegal. You can't force me to work.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big thing too, where I believe this is really specific. There was the Kesha contract dispute. She had a contract with, I think, Sony, and there was some like disgusting producer who was like inappropriate or something. And she owed Sony a record. They could force her to pay, but they can't force her to do the record because they can't force her to work.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like this whole thing. It's like, I think the court, like the verdict from the judge said, and we can't force her to work because slavery was outlawed in,
Yeah.
I should know the year, but I don't. I'm sorry. But, you know, and that's like the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, not allowed to strike. No such thing. There could be consequences, but not really.
Yeah. I think bottom line, it's just, hey, you're visiting the park, support the cast members. Like, they're making the magic, they're making the place special, and the place is going to be, you know, worse off if people are forced out of their jobs or they are forced to leave just simply due to this dispute, or if the negotiations do fail and things don't go the right way for the cast members. It's always one of those things that keeps getting pushed back. Like, this fight is going to happen eventually.
That's what I'm saying. Don't go to work.
Yeah.
Have a real strike. Don't go to work one day.
Yeah.
But don't announce that it's one day.
Yeah.
Because then they'll just be like, we'll close.
Yeah.
They don't want to close. But now that they've done the whole, like, we closed in 2020
For pandemic.
it's not off the table.
Yeah.
It's not something they want to do, but it's not like, oh, we broke our streak. You know,
Yeah.
it's like,
They would if they had to. And I don't know if it's going to be so bad as it will come down as a corporate mandate. Okay, we can't afford to do this. Like, this looks this bad. But now that it's like actually hitting major, you know, newspapers and it's starting to blow up on social media, it's gonna hit them pretty hard. I mean, their stock has already been dipping really low. So it doesn't matter what good headlines you get about Inside Out 2, for example, when your theme park is being shut down because your workers are being underpaid.
if they authorize a work stoppage strike,
Yeah.
Disney will cave before they actually stop working.
I imagine.
For sure.
Yeah.
So no one in there is listening to me right now.
No.
But it's like, I say this, like, I feel bad. Most people working at Disney, I want to make magic for people and kids and whatever. It's like, listen, dude, this is a lot's on the line here. And it's a lot of people right now, they're setting up other people for the future. You know, like, you get $1 raise a year instead of $0.25. You're helping the kid that might want to work at Disneyland in the future. You might make it a viable line of work. There's another word for that, but whatever.
Yeah.
A viable career to work at Disneyland, you know?
And I think that's the ultimate like argument that's happening is the cast members are saying, this is my career. This is what I love to do. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And then on the other side, Disney is like, we don't want career people. We want, you know, the college student, the high school student who just graduated to work here.
And that is, I can't say that Disney's completely wrong.
Yeah.
You know, it's like some things are not really careers. Now, everything should have a living wage.
Yes.
But then it's also like, you know, a living wage for one person is different than a living wage for someone who has a family of 4 and then someone wants to be a stay-at-home parent. And then now it's like getting into way more complicated things.
But that's kind of the core of the issue.
Yeah. And there's also like, people will say, and they should, they go, it's right now, like, the cost of a worker is like what it just costs for someone to work for you. Like, oh, they'll take it, I'll give it to them. Cost of a worker should be like proportional to what they generate for the company. And then it's like, does a cast member generate $30 an hour for the for the Disneyland Resort? I don't know. And not like directly, just like, is that what's coming in? You know, the whole overhead cost, all of it, development, you know, that's all a thing. But that is also why, like, it might not be like career style jobs.
Yeah.
Might not be a thing for certain places.
But we're going to get into more of an argument. Like, we're going to talk more about what $60 billion in investment in the parks looks like later on in this episode. But just even talking about that, okay, we're going to spend $60 billion. And yet we're not going to spend a few $100,000 in an increase a year to pay our cast members
that's
more.
the thing.
That's what it ultimately
I'm not
comes
saying
down
pay
to.
everyone $30 an hour tomorrow.
Yeah, no. And even that, it's like literally just paying somebody $1 more over the course of the next 5 years yeah, that's going to hurt you, but you're already raising your prices anyway. You're already price gouging.
Yeah.
But you're just using it for profit building. You're not using it to actually, okay, the cost of living is getting higher too, and now our cast members are suffering. So let's, increase their pay with the, rate of inflation so they get to live.
Yeah.
Like that's basically what it's about.
Yeah. And it's like, there is a weird thing of like paying people more to work harder.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they should be rewarded for working harder.
Yeah.
However, if you are underpaid enough and enough people are underpaid, the culture suffers. And I can't say no offense. This is offensive.
Yeah.
Cast member culture, not really great right now.
I agree.
But what's the motivation? They're making less than McDonald's, right?
They're making as much or less, and especially less now that the fast food laws have happened here in California that have increased the wage there. And I think that's the other thing is like if you're working at Disney and you're looking, I've always said this. I remember back in the day, you'd look at a bus stop and you'd see on one side of the bus stop an ad to work at Disneyland, and on the other side an ad to work at Walmart, and they paid the same. And I'm like, so your motivation as a cast member is roughly the same financially, is roughly the same as a Walmart employee. You don't want to go to Disneyland after spending thousands of dollars and have a Walmart employee. You're seeing these bright smiling faces, people who are really passionate about being there. And those people still exist and they're still working there, but less and less so because they don't have that they're going to go home at the end of their day and they have things to worry about that they didn't have to worry about before.
Yeah. It's the people want to work here thing is breaking down now.
Yeah.
That people used to just, that was their dream to work at Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
I can probably go get a job at Disneyland tomorrow if I really want to do.
Yeah.
Because I have just any work experience and, I'll take what you guys are paying me. They'll just hire you.
Yes.
You smile at them and you sound well-spoken and knowledgeable and whatever, they'll take you. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the problem. But like, yeah, people stop taking it or stop working. Maybe something will change. So we'll see what happens. In terms of should you go to Disneyland, should you not? This is kind of like, it gets weird if you have to cross a picket line. But we're not at that point right now.
We're not there yet, yeah.
But right now, it's this weird thing. You got to support people, but you need to support them in what they are doing.
Yes.
People were like, should I stop watching movies? Like, no. This is not your position.
Yeah.
Right? Just don't get in the way of people. It's like should I stop watching movies? No. Should you go audition for like non-union work now during the union strike? Also no. So like, we could be on the same side. We can be on the same team without, this is a hockey reference, I guess, without being on the same line.
Yeah.
Or on the same shift. Like it is a very like complicated emotional situation. But also do what feels right to you and don't judge others for doing what feels right to them. In terms of this, in terms of going to Disneyland, judge silently if you'd like, but adults, mind your own business. I think we just need to start saying that.
Yeah.
What happened to adults just minding their business, you know? But yeah, be excellent to each other. Cruising on. So, the Oriental Land Company has purchased, in a way, licensed Disney Cruise from Disney Cruise Lines, I guess. It is a division.
They're effectively franchising Disney Cruise Line to Japan.
Yeah, and Disney's building the ship. Or Disney is having the ship built.
Disney is having the ship built in the same place in Germany where they build their ships.
And it's a Wish class.
A Wish class. So it is a official Disney Cruise Line ship, but it will be owned and operated by the Oriental Land Company, which part of the whole existence of the Oriental Land Company is in Japan, businesses being operated there have to be Japanese, like to a certain extent.
Yeah, there is that whole thing.
And that's, I think, why it is the way it is. It's why you can't already cruise to Japan, like on a Disney Cruise Line. Like it doesn't exist there because of those certain reasons. And, Disney.
So it is going to fly a Japanese flag.
Yeah.
Most cruises
don't fly there.
Fly some BS flag and have like slaves on board, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I'll call them like indentures.
Yeah.
It's bad.
And some cruise lines are better than others, but it is definitely one of those underreported sides of that industry. And the big part of the industry is just how profitable it is. Like the Disney Cruise Line is one of the most profitable parts of the company right now, and is part of the reason that the parks division as a whole has been giving better numbers than any part of the Hollywood side of Disney.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, the Oriental Land Company owns and operates Tokyo Disney Resort.
Mm-hmm.
Disney owns a portion, or no?
They don't. They
don't.
are simply paid for like the franchise rate, which is already incredibly high, because that was the whole thing, is that Disney basically gave them an impossible deal. It was like, okay, or you really want to own us? You want to have a Disney park? Okay. Well, we're going to make a deal that you can't accept. And they accepted the deal. And that's kind of how the story goes, is that it's like, it's really good for Disney. They just make a bunch of money. They're, Walt Disney Imagineering gets paid to design stuff with an almost unlimited budget versus what they get to for the company itself.
That's also crazy that like the Oriental OLC
Yes.
will just tell Imagineering, spend as much as you want.
Yeah.
And the Walt Disney Company doesn't do that.
No. But
So-
also the Walt Disney Company doesn't have to worry about all these other divisions and how much of
Yeah.
a corporation it is, versus OLC only has to worry about the profitability of a singular park. OLC is also unique in the fact that it has continued the sort of sponsorship model that Disney originally had, where everything is sponsored. So one of the things to note about visiting Tokyo Disney Resort is everything is sponsored by something. Every attraction, every hot dog stand, it's all sponsored, which means that that's where they're able to help bring in the money to actually develop these things. And that's what Disney used to have to do. And now Disney's big enough that it doesn't have to do it, but at the same time, it now has to be more fiscally responsible because it's using its own cash and not somebody else's.
And they cheap out because they don't have the sponsorships. Like
Exactly.
something I didn't realize the way these contracts worked until I rewatched the Journey into Imagination, the not double feature, but like the Defunctland and the other guy. I don't remember who it was. I'm sorry. But Yesterworld.
Oh yeah, yes.
Where they each did half of the episode and were like, oh, we're just doing this together, watch both our channels. But how Kodak ran out of money and didn't sponsor it, and Disney was like, okay, pay us half and we'll do less, like for a renovation.
Yeah.
So usually ride upkeep, ride renovations are paid for by that sponsor. So like Chevy is paying for Test Track's new thing,
which is incredible. Like Test Track gets to continuously evolve and improve with time. Like that's really cool that they get to have that money to do that. And now it's like, that's probably going to be the best looking new Epcot attraction after its full overlay, because money is being spent, because it's the whole, like, we're going to use this as a way to, really showcase our electrified vehicles. Like, let's spend this money to showcase it.
They have brand new cars out there.
Yeah.
And guys, just middle America visits Florida.
Yeah.
And they love cars and they love Chevrolet. I saw a dad and his two sons take a picture in front of Test Track, but like the center of the frame was sponsored by Chevrolet. They were like, oh, this is cool. We're taking a picture with like a Chevy logo at Disney. Yeah. And it's a big thing. And so it works. It makes sense for Test Track, which is why GM is just like, because when you, for most people, especially I'll call it like average, like American who identifies as American, right?
Yeah.
When you buy a car, you usually just stick with that brand.
Yeah. And then you're committed for life.
It's insane brand loyalty, because usually the car that you buy works fine. And when it gives you trouble, it's just because it's a car.
Yeah.
Like Tesla right now, brand loyalty is dying because they're just garbage, right? But like you have a Honda, it's got no problems, right? Yeah. You stick with Honda. I have an Audi, doesn't really have problems. Love Audi. I'm just going to stick to it.
There it is.
You stick to what you know. All the buttons are where you're used to. The seats feel a certain way. So that makes sense. But anyways, Disney Cruise, that's what we were talking about. Totally forgot. So yeah, this is very interesting, but it's probably the one company Disney trusts to uphold the brand.
Yeah.
Like
the quality, everything.
Quality. And also they work together. So if there were any issues with training or experience, it's a two-way street with them. And they'll just be like, hey, we'll just fix this. Whatever you guys need, back and forth. Like,
it'll be really interesting too because it's Wish. It's an existing framework for the cruise ship,
which is a shame that those ships, I don't like them.
They weren't well designed apparently, and it really comes down to the fact that the person who designed them wasn't a person who designs cruise ships
and had never been on a cruise.
That's a problem,
which is insane.
That
it's
you would
insane.
do that, yeah. But it's because they already have that framework. So in Germany, it's like you already have a shipbuilder, and they keep building. Okay, so they have the Wish, they have the Treasure. What was the third one they announced there? Was it the Destiny?
I don't think so. It wasn't Adventure, right? Was it?
It was not Adventure, because Adventure is the global dream. So the same company that builds the ships for Disney was going to build this huge cruise ship, at the time the largest in the world, for a company in China. That company went belly up because of the pandemic. So the cruise ship manufacturer is looking at this giant thing stuck in their facility that could potentially bankrupt them. And Disney was basically like, if you go under, like, now we have to find a whole new cruise ship manufacturer, and we kind of like you guys. So basically Disney bailed them out by, the cruise ship, the company, they're just like, hey, we just need you to pay the finishing rate to finish the ship. That's it. Like, we're not going to make you pay for anything else. The rest of it was all paid. We just need you to pay to finish it. And so the Disney Adventure, when it sets sail in Singapore, is going to be the largest of Disney's fleet, and it'll be one of the largest cruise ships in the world. They had new news about that recently too. They have the ship is so big it has lands on it. Like it is split into sections like lands. It's ridiculous.
It is the Destiny, you're right. And
there
that was the Adventure, the other one.
Yep.
So,
and the Destiny is a ship based around heroes and villains. That's the theme for that one. So the Treasure is like an adventure ship, heroes and villains for that one. Yeah.
Guys, don't go on the Disney Adventure. It's a Chinese cruise, and it is very different, right?
It's going to be out of Singapore. It's going to be an Asian,
but marketed
for the Asian market.
Yeah.
But I would say that it'll remain to be seen, but all of the finishings on the ship, so it was basically the infrastructure was done by a Chinese company. The finishings, the room, everything else is done by Disney and done to Disney standards. So
I don't mean it like, it's going to be bad. It's just like it's catered towards that type of customer.
It's a different market, yeah.
People over there like different things. Like shopping, probably going to be huge.
Huge. It could have a casino on board. They didn't put that in there. They already had a casino designed, and the space was built in. And so it's one of those situations where, do they build a casino because that is something that is expected of going on a cruise in Asia? That is one of the biggest parts of cruising there.
It's not a Japanese cruise, so it's not gotcha.
But it's also it's going to be very interesting, because I really would love to see it sail between Singapore and Hong Kong, because then you could really do Hong Kong, Disneyland, and the cruise ship and connect it. And Disney owns
and there
Hong
will be
Kong,
a lot
Disneyland.
of English. So
there will be. And already, because it's in Singapore, there will be a lot of English. So that's one of those things that, if you are interested and you are going to do a Asian Disney trip, or a trip to Asia with Disney thrown in there, I think it's actually worth doing. It'll be interesting to see what the price is, because I think that's another thing to think about, is I don't think they can price nearly as high as they do in the Caribbean. So I think that it could work out for some people of you know what, this is actually worth doing. It's still a proper Disney Cruise Line ship. It's still operated and owned by Disney. So might as well try it. The one out of the Oriental Land Company, that's going to be a little bit more interesting, because it will be designed specifically for the Japanese audience. So if you are interested, I really want to go and see what an Oriental Land Company cruise is like, you're going to have a lot of differences for sure.
Watch them have they're going to have animatronics on board.
I see, that's the thing that I'm you're already using the Wish framework, so I don't know how different it's going to be. It'll be interesting to see what IP they choose for it, because that's one of the things that Japan does that's a little bit different, is they're willing to pick more obscure things, or things that are very specific to the market in Japan, versus what the cruise ship line would do in normally.
I guess we'll see. What I want to know on the Disney Adventure, the Asian cruise, will we see a Disney influencer get caned in Singapore for breaking a law that they did not research?
My gosh. Yeah, they were chewing gum or something like that.
Don't look up caning.
No.
It's rough. It's really bad. This is not a racist comment.
No.
This is don't act up in Singapore.
Don't. Yeah.
Don't act up.
There's a very high, public decency sort of threshold that, if you're an American, you might not be used to the idea of, oh, wait a second, that's frowned upon in this culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't do that. Yeah.
All right. Any other news?
I think that's
There's
it. Those
just
two
been like
things, yeah.
stuff floating around. Like Craftsman Bar is once again open for breakfast. Grabbed a res
Nice.
because we wanted to do lamplight brunch, but we weren't originally going to do a morning trip. Turned into a morning trip, and you don't just stroll in a lamplight brunch. So I'm going to try to like snipe that. But if I don't, going to Craftsman for breakfast. They have reservations available. Shout out to Sail with the Tide. I believe it's Stephen F. is his name. Loves that. He was disappointed that they closed the breakfast there. And I sent it to him this morning. Like, this is your thing, right?
It's back.
Yeah, it's back. Oogie Boogie is sold out, Matthew.
Yeah.
He was like, it's not even sold out. I'm like, oh.
It didn't sell out like last time.
But they added
record
2 or
rates,
3 nights. So
they met demand. And I think that's the thing is that they met the amount of people who missed out on last time. Like if you missed out last year and you really wanted to go, you had the opportunity to go this year, which is good, but it's meeting the market, need.
Yeah, like I think there's always going to be someone who's like, I couldn't go. They sold out this year. Like this year.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this is your fault now.
Yeah.
You
now
waited
you missed it.
like 3 weeks.
It was
now
posted on
some of the
social
nights
media,
were gone, whatever. But you could have gone. You had the opportunity. It's not Disney's fault anymore.
No.
Last year it was.
Yes.
So it's like when the passes go on sale and all the people in the queue get like kicked out, didn't get a pass, there weren't enough. When passes slowly, one by one, over the course of 4 days go away, you should have got it.
Or they're available for an entire month, and people miss that opportunity. I'm like, it was always one of those interesting things when I did work like City Hall at Disneyland, and you'd have people ask questions. When can I buy a pass right now or whatever it is? And I'm like, no, those are things that drop at certain times. Well, how do I know? And I'm like, well, you can subscribe to things, you can pay attention on social media and this and that. Oh, I don't. Well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, go on the website every day. I don't know.
That's a problem I've been running into now.
Yeah.
Where I'm not on Twitter, right? And the thing is, Twitter's not.
It is not what it used to be.
It's not a consistent place to get information. It's a consistent place to get Scott Gustin tweets.
Oh my God.
But that's about it. Like the companies, they'll post more on Instagram now.
Instagram is definitely, if you're looking for corporate news or news from your favorite business, it's on Instagram now.
The problem is, so I tried doing that. But brands don't shut up.
No.
Like every day, like Oreo has a post. And I'm like, I thought it would be fun to follow Oreo.
No.
Unfollow. Like they go too hard.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, I can't subscribe to the brands. No. And then I hate influencers and all their news is wrong.
Yes.
Freddie, have you noticed, you're not very much an Instagram person though.
No, I'm not.
Have you noticed the sweet treat that everyone's been losing their minds about lately?
Nope.
The coconut patty. Everyone's like, I need to try this. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I ate this in 2015. If not 2016, don't come at me. But I'm like, this is a very old sweet treat.
It's been around.
And it comes and goes. Usually, I think it does come around in the summer. Mm-hmm. And it was here post-pandemic for a point, too. I've had it. It's very good. It's a Mounds, basically, but as a patty. And everyone's like, this new treat. I'm like, it is not new. I do think it was new 10 years ago.
But it's new to somebody who's an influencer, so then they make it a whole thing.
And this just goes back to my like, you know nothing, dude. You know nothing. Influencing what?
But there's a difference between influencing and then people who just actually go to the parks and use it as
Oh no, if my friend's like, dude, I had this new thing, the coconut thing, I'm gonna be like, that's not new. I'd be like, oh yeah, I had that a while ago. I guess they brought it back. That's cool. Like, did you like it? But it's different when you're like, I got the scoop. I'm the
and
first
you're getting
to try.
Exactly.
Like,
and it's like, it's news. Give me the clicks. No.
Yeah. So there's that. And then like, but I want to keep up with certain things. But news apps are just the election.
Yeah.
And then there's like YouTube, I guess. Like I guess that is the shame with Elon Musk buying Twitter. It was just the place to just get your stuff. And if you wanted to, you can avoid the garbage by filtering it out. And now it's like half the things you need to know aren't on there. I've been getting back into hockey. And I'm like, oh, Substack. But like Substack only works if they email you. And I'm like, I don't want emails.
Yeah, no.
So
it's gotten really hard because Twitter was such a like place for things.
It was the freaking town square. Like
yeah,
we
and then
said
they killed it, which is, it is funny. It's like, you're not wrong that it was the town square, but now goodbye town square. And at least for like quote unquote Diz Twitter or like getting Disney news through there, it is like definitely one of the sources for getting stuff the fastest. And there
Reddit
are still people
now.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's terrible. And I think that's the issue is there's no real replacement. And when Twitter was dying and people who like to talk about Disney parks, like they're like, okay, cool, let's get off Twitter. Where do we go? There's like 40, like there's so many options. There's so many different platforms.
Well, it's like
that people
there's
try.
Threads.
Yeah.
And there's Mastodon. And now they interoperate. You can follow.
Now they do, yeah.
At the very least, you can like follow people from both.
Yeah.
Because they use like an open standard.
Which is great.
But then Blue Sky built their own standard.
Yep.
And they're not part of the federated universe, the Fediverse.
Yep.
And so that's a problem. And no one's on Blue Sky.
No, yeah. I mean, Scott Gustin posts on, I forgot if he posts on Blue Sky or Threads, but he does still post on those other platforms.
Wherever he is, I'm going to go.
He
started on Threads and then bounced.
Yeah, because it was not, like, that's the thing is like everyone who was on Diz Twitter and was getting consistent like action have gone elsewhere and then found that they don't exist anywhere else. And so it's like, as a relatively small community, it's kind of hard to find that niche. And I know people are like, oh, let me just turn this into a Discord or turn this into that or that. It's just never going to be as big as it was.
Discord is rough.
It's not going to work.
Yeah, your last Blue Sky was 1 month ago.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
No,
well, I did a few posts on Blue Sky, and it's just like you get nothing. It's like now your stuff is too niche to show up.
Scott Gustin was 9 months ago on
Oh
Blue
my
Sky.
God, yeah.
Yeah,
So
Scott-
he's probably
at-
still on
At
Twitter.
ScottGustin.com. There is at Trammin.com on Blue Sky. That's also the thing. I think it's too complicated for people. Yeah, I'm on there with nothing. What is it? Threads.net.
Yeah, whatever it is. I don't know, man. It feels like Instagram is now the biggest platform, and you're kind of like stuck with that until something else rises.
And now it's like there are stories that are like 5 slides of an ad.
Yeah.
And you have to like swipe over. Yeah, Scott Gustin on Threads was last year.
Wow.
So where is he at? Mastodon?
Just Twitter. I think he's just Twitter now then.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which sucks.
Because he's your reliable source. I mean, he's your consistency.
And I'm not like Elon Musk Twitter. It's like Twitter's just not a great
No,
place.
it isn't.
It
It's
actually
falling apart.
does suck. Yeah, it feels like it's falling apart. So, oh well. But yeah, that's where I'm at now. I'm like, what do I do? Like, we're back to the point where you have to bookmark websites and check them.
Yeah, we're getting to that point. I mean, I think that's why they spent effort to redesign the whole like Disney
Parks
blog and plan. Like they're actually like investing some money into that, where they stopped because of stuff like Twitter, where they have a Scott Gustin who they could just talk to and have release information. Now I guess I really think it's interesting to see companies actually have to invest in in their own media, not social media, but like their own media.
Who would have thought websites would come back?
Oh my God.
Yeah. And you know what though? Yeah. I see a lot less people. Like Scott Gustin will post things that are big news and no one's talking about it.
No, it doesn't. Nothing trends like that normally.
He has the at scottgustin.com. So that means
maybe that's where
that means he
his
owns
own blog.
it.
Yeah.
You have to own it for it to work on Blue Sky. Oh, it redirects to Twitter.
That is so see, that's beautiful. There it is.
Shrek 5 is coming to theaters July 1st, 2026.
Wow.
Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, and Cameron Diaz will return.
News.
That's great. Liked by Lord Farquaad. Yeah. Alrighty. What is happening? Oh, someone died. Rest in peace. Okay. Country Bear, whatever.
Not our coast, sadly.
Yeah.
Speaking of country bears, though, I was getting an interesting message, and we'll talk more about this in the main show. But
Can't believe we're not there yet.
yeah, no, we're about to though.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
It's time
I see.
for You're Right, in which members of the Tram fam write in with corrections and comments, just like you can, at trammin.com/ask. Freddie, cue up that corrections music, please. Oh, yeah, just one. All right, Maggie writes in, new writer. So welcome to the Tram fam, Maggie. Hello. Just want to start by saying I love y'all's podcast. I recently tuned into the Disneyland versus the World episode and heard you guys talking about Duffy. I knew it was a big thing in Tokyo and Hong Kong, but I never knew Duffy is Mickey's teddy bear. Recently, my dad bought me a Duffy from Hong Kong Disney, and the bear came with a story I thought I'd share with you guys. Very cute and interesting that Minnie made Mickey the bear. Hope you guys enjoy this random fact as much as I do. Keep making great content. We will. She actually sent it's like a little fold-out thing.
Yeah, it's a little picture book. It's like Mickey's a sailor, and he's going to go on his little adventures, and Minnie makes him a companion for his adventures.
Yeah, so that I just heard this. Thank you for this new fact.
Yeah.
Thank you for writing in. Eric writes in, wrote in a couple weeks ago, Instagram, also a mess sometimes. So wasn't able to see this, but you guys were talking about Japan's view of American culture versus ours, and I thought the Simpsons Japan episode was spot on as usual. It's like from 1996 or something.
Oh my God.
It's just like, yep, the Simpsons did it. Simpsons knows it. Yeah, they'll get you. Andrea writes in, chlorine tinted fries and a pina colada is where it's at. Freddie, we've talked about this. The wet hands out of the pool.
Oh my
Nothing
God.
tastes burger. Nothing tastes better than that burger and fries and pina colada.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait, man. All right. Michelle J. writes in, Kirk and Rain. In response to bringing up Evermore Park in Utah, Evermore did close down for good. There was some pretty shady stuff happening as far as I read, and it's a bummer because the one time I went there, it was pretty fun and unique. As for the Great Saltaire, I was there last fall for the All American Rejects concert. I thought the same thing as Rain. Someone's watched Aladdin. Looked up a picture of how it used to look after Kirk mentioned it, and it was awesome. Too bad it changed. I have a Disneyland question, though. Do you know if they will be doing any Christmas after-hours events this year? I have a trip planned in December and can make my reservations, but I don't know if there are any events I will need to work around. Thanks to the both of you. So I told her I'd ask Freddie.
Yeah, I don't think they've announced it yet.
But they announced like Jolliest Nights and stuff.
Jolliest Nights is
But
coming.
we had our
came
Oogie
back.
Boogie push right
Yeah.
now.
Did they still do the Christmas event last year?
No.
No, because they did it the year before and then they didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think so. Because if they did it once and it wasn't as big of success,
It sold out immediately, though. Not immediately, but it did sell out.
I'm not sure.
And people enjoyed it.
But I think there was a general complaint of during Christmas time having Disneyland proper closed.
That is true.
And I think that's what it is that you were impacting so many people's vacations during peak time. And on top of that, people want to be, it's Christmas, they want to be in Disneyland. You don't have to you don't have to push people to go to Disneyland. California Adventure is the one you have to push people to go to.
Yeah, and I don't need a DCA Christmas event.
No, because that would mean, and I think you guys talked about this, was DCA, like Christmas foods. I mean,
we have
Festival of the Holidays,
yeah.
you have that. But like, what else would you do to make California Adventure special during Christmas?
Yeah, we just wanted to see the Muppets. So
Yeah.
and Andrew was on the show, and he was like, yeah, it wasn't really worth it. However, it was worth it for the Muppets. He's like, if I paid to see the Muppets and that was worth it, not a good party price, though. And you know what? You're right. As much as I would, if they did it, I would go. I might go a couple nights because Disney's so busy during Christmas.
Yes.
I would pay twice to have 2 really nice nights
Just
at Disneyland.
a park to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was disappointing because it's harder to go during Christmas.
Yeah.
Because it's busier, less reservations, but also you are busier. You're
Yeah.
seeing family, friends want to hang out for Christmas, or like leading up to it, got to go shopping, want to do other Christmas things.
It's much more of an inconvenience to even try and run an event at that point.
Yeah. Because like even, you want to go see Christmas lights on the weekend.
Yeah.
You're not going to Disneyland that day.
No.
So then you want to go the other day, but there's a party now. And
Yeah.
so I get it. Although, man, they could just do it once a week on a Wednesday for like 4 or 5 weeks, but probably not worth it to them.
Yep.
Especially you don't want to drag it out one night a week. You get everyone to show up. You get the Muppets to show up once a week. Like, yeah, probably won't come back.
No.
Yeah, you don't need to convince anyone to go to Disneyland. That's basically it. And I think DCA, I think they have a good time with the Festival Holidays.
They do. It brings in enough money. And again, you'd have a complaint of people bought the, pass and then the park closes early if you ran an event there. And then it's like, I have this pass that I bought and I didn't know your hours, and now I have to leave the park and I didn't get to use it. So it's like, there's so many things that you're going to create problems by running more events that you just don't need it, versus when they do run events and they do a Star Wars night in the middle of the spring, it's like, okay, that's worth doing because otherwise there's nothing going on.
Yeah. And yeah, Hollywood Studios needs needs the help. Okay.
Hollywood Studios has the Muppets already. Like, there you go. There's your Muppet home. If you're looking for a Muppet home at the Disney parks, it's Hollywood Studios.
They didn't get the Muppet thing though.
No, but they did have a Muppets hosted show for Jollywood Nights.
Okay.
So the Muppets act as hosts for Jollywood Nights in certain ways.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think you have to worry about it, Michelle.
No.
Speaking of Yuda, who was it? Elizabeth wrote in and said she's also from Utah. We have a few Utah listeners. Because I said, hey, we have 60 listeners in Utah.
Wow.
Who are you? And like a few people wrote in.
That's good.
So I think it was Aaron S., Michelle J., and Elizabeth M. Discord may open, it may not. It's always out. It's always updating. Christian with a K wrote in with scheduling stuff. He said, I was thinking of the what did he call it? Did he call it the 480? I'm sorry, I don't know how to use this anymore. I'm an old man. The 980 work schedule is what I was thinking of. And he has also been on Superstar Limo. One of the 2 times he was taken by his parents as a kid, DCA was literally ghost town on a weekday. And Robert said he remembers Superstar Limo. And it was pretty traumatic and made no sense. I remember looking both confused and terrified on the ride photo. There was a ride photo?
Oh my God. I can't imagine. There has to be, because I've seen there's the photos of people in the vehicle.
Ah.
Yeah. Wow.
Why would they get rid of that? That would be funny. It's like the reporter.
You know what? I think it's when they got rid of it so they can have Roz, like, and they maybe use the same camera. Like at the very end of the ride.
Yeah. But
it makes sense it's a paparazzi ride. Of course you get a photo. Like, there you go.
Were the pictures at Hollywood Lounge?
Ooh, maybe.
Huh.
I don't know. Somebody just shared on Twitter a photo of the outdoor queue for Superstar Limo, and it's basically just LAX, but it's rolling over hills. Like, it's very like surreal LAX. Like, I don't know what's going on.
And
here.
they had the movie trailers. I have a picture there. Our actor trailer. What are those called?
God.
Just trailers,
know.
right?
Yeah.
And he said, I wish I had my dad's old schedule. 12-hour shifts, 3 on, 2 off, then 2 on and 3 off. I applied for a job at Target Distribution, like on the corporate side, exiting college. And they had a schedule option of 12-hour shifts, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that's it.
That's all you need.
And you got paid full-time salary. It was like a salaried operations management position. So I'm not like packing the boxes. Did not get hired, but right after I interviewed with the foreman of the whole building, he was fired for like some sort of impropriety. So
lovely.
It was his fault. But, I'm happy with where I'm at.
Good.
So shout out to Funky Work Schedules. All right. Anna K writes in. Kirk talking someone out of buying a timeshare is one of the best things I've listened to this week. I almost sent a similar write-in a while back when you went on a tangent explaining how unions work, and when you muttered something about wearing super feet to the parks. If you ever decide to do another podcast, please have it be something like Adulting with Kirk. You give solid advice and are skilled at explaining basic concepts that everyone should know about without being condescending or boring.
Nice.
Every time I throw money into my Roth IRA instead of a timeshare, I'm going to imagine you being proud of me. My in-laws have a timeshare, and though we hope they live a long time, we're already scheming about how to ensure we don't inherit it. Cheers from Whatcom County, home of Superfeet. Several of my friends work there. Anna, I am proud of you for contributing to your Roth IRA. I motion towards the camera just for you. I had I'll just say unnamed listener write in or message me on Discord about like the Roth IRA thing. I was able to go back and forth, give some advice.
Cool.
401ks, all that. Let me know if you guys want help.
That's
or
where
if
to
you're
put the
just
money.
like, if you're just like, oh, how does it work? Should I do it? You should do it, but you should do other things first.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to it. But yeah, thank you for that compliment. I've been told, I'll never forget. You never forget the compliments, right? I had a professor, my first class, Com 100 speech class. in Cal Poly, not like giving speeches. And he said, I explained how 9/11 was not an inside job to someone. And to the whole class, like the reason the buildings fell a certain way. Yeah. And he goes, see, he was able to explain that to you in a very simple way without dumbing it down and making you feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, that's the only, if you want to convince someone of something, don't dumb it down.
No.
Simplify it, relate it to something they know, and talk to them as if you believe that they are interested in learning. And they might be like, oh, instead of, no, I'm going to fight you. And then now we're both just stuck in our way. So Anna, thank you. I will stop patting myself on the back now. But yeah, save your money out there, everyone. It's a little rough. This here's our Big Thunder topic of the week. Whispers of Tomorrow. D23 predictions. So, Freddie, a little while ago, said we should do a D23 predictions episode.
Oh, yeah.
And we said, yeah. And then forgot about it. And then I honestly had no idea what to do this week. I was going to do a pick one thing. We may never do that episode. By the time we do it, we might change the name.
Yeah.
However, I told him I would just use this opportunity anyway. A friend of the show, Matthew Serrano, released a film as part of a mentorship program with Me Too and Walmart. And I think Paramount got involved at some point. So it's called Pick One. It is about a very, I don't want to say small, like a very specific struggle of biracial people while taking standardized tests. Yeah. And that's all I'll say. But it's more than that. And if you have ever been in that situation, I think it will really resonate with you. And if it hasn't, if you've never been in that situation, it might teach you something new or give you some new perspective. But it's a very sweet short film. It's like 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
As it was supposed to be. Very well produced and acted and directed by our friend Matthew Serrano. So check that out. Pick One on the We Are Me Too YouTube channel. Yes. Go check out Matthew_Serrano on Instagram and probably Twitter.
Yeah.
There was a Matthew G. Serrano. I don't know where that is. That's also him. I think, right?
I don't know.
Like an @ like his handle. So go check that out. I'll try to remember to put the links in the description, but check out Pick One by our friend Matthew Serrano. But we're going to actually make some predictions, but we're going to do two types of predictions, yes? One is Freddie has heard something. He's heard the whispers.
Yeah.
And the other is, I think it's going to be 3. The other is they'll probably or should do this, right? Or it's likely. And the other is like, wouldn't it be cool if they did blank? So
it's basically like actual rumors, speculation based off of what is reasonably possible. And then what should they do? It's kind of those three different realms.
Yeah, and we'll just mention what they are. There is no particular order to these, but the order will start with the Whispers of Tomorrow in Tomorrowland because that's why you're all here.
Yeah.
And I was reminded of this because Freddie tweeted at the Cali Bay, 5 Fires, Mondo, about some rumors. And for those who don't know about the Tiana situation.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Freddie, it's not a secret. You have
Quick
an
recap.
OC register.
Yeah, I know. You just look up my name on Google and that's what comes up.
So back in 2020, there was a big hubbub and hullabaloo over Tiana's Bayou Adventure becoming a thing. Should Disney do this? Disney is just trying to be political, yada, yada, yada. It started with a tweet from a cast member who has said, this was not my original idea, but I think they should make Splash Mountain into Tiana's for various reasons. And I believe it was just concept art from the film.
It was literally concept art from the film, concept art from like puzzle boxes, just what I've found from Tiana and Princess and the Frog in general. And I was just like, okay, scene by scene of Splash Mountain, how would you just change that to tell the story of Princess and the Frog? And it was very simple. It was done in like 15 minutes. And I
It was like a 4-photo grid on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, it was that, but it was actually a series of 4 photo grids because you could only post 4 pictures. Funny enough, I posted that on the Defunct Land Facebook page, and it basically caused the Defunct Land Facebook page to implode. And destroy itself. And I mean, that was probably the best place to put that. But I made other people angry because we were all having the conversation at the same moment, which was Splash Mountain's still around. What's going to happen? What should it be replaced by? And so everyone's throwing their ideas out there and starting getting angry.
There's no demonetization here. This was during the George Floyd protests.
Yes.
Where there was a lot going on in America. So, and during the pandemic.
Yes.
So Freddy was that cast member. You didn't really say anything crazy. You were just like, wouldn't this be cool? And then they're like, ruh-roh. We need to do this. And I asked you a while ago, like, were they actually working on it? Because they said, we've actually been working on this for a while. And you were like, they probably mentioned it a while ago and put the file in a big file cabinet in the big Indiana Jones storage unit, you know?
Like over the course of that, so there was a 2-week period between my post on Twitter and within a day the change.org position started, which is so funny because everyone credits the change.org position posts as being the origin of the cancellation of Splash, but it was actually the tweet that then caused the change.org positions.
I saw the tweet on Twitter. It was the tweet, and I didn't know you.
No,
which I didn't even see who you were.
No,
they just said a cast member, and I'm like, all right.
And this was it was during the pandemic. Was it June?
So we mentioned it here. Who knows what terrible things I've said about you, Freddie?
But it was funny back then. Like within that 2-week period of time, it was like, okay. First off, at the time, all the cast members were furloughed. We weren't working for the company, so that's kind of how I got away as quote unquote scot-free, even though I definitely didn't. With posting on social media about the company and then also commenting to various media who asked for comment, because I basically was then, okay, I'm going to back up my idea. I'm going to back up, this thing. And I know I wasn't the first person to come up with the idea, but I told a really good story around it. As far as I'm aware, based off of what people told me, and I've had multiple different comments where it's like, you really did, start this conversation and they were completely caught unaware. And on the other side, oh no, they've been planning this for a while. I definitely believe that back in 2009, when they were doing Princess and the Frog, that this was an idea that they had, that we could finally get rid of this thing. We can change the story. We can do this and it's going to work. And then it goes up against Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar, and flops at the box office. And Disney is like, all right, we're done with 2D animation. This IP is kind of a dud, but we have to keep it around because it gives us a point of representation in the parks. And that was basically it. So I definitely believe it existed, but
it was workshopped, and they put it away.
That piece of concept art, I definitely believe was made up in 2 weeks. I think from when I tweeted
where they put
to
the bow
when
on top and all that.
Yes, because it was directly what I was pitching. And that's what's so funny is I'm like, there are certain parts of the original version of that. And also, things like Dr. Facilier being in the ride potentially. It's like, that's very much what I wrote in, the pitch. And it didn't take that much imagination to say, wouldn't it be cool, the lift hill, to have Dr. Facilier doing this and that? And there's many reasons, very legitimate reasons why he is not in that attraction and why they are not referencing voodoo. And I think that they are 100% correct to do that. But, it was one of those interesting things to see. Okay, they definitely had to kind of follow along with the same logic to make this this piece of concept art and everything. Regardless, that is kind of the origin point for my, introduction on Diz Twitter and posting rumors and speculation and coming up with stuff.
Yeah, and, Freddie doesn't work at Disney anymore.
Nope.
You worked as a parks cast member. And you had really cool roles. I'll be honest, do we?
Yeah. No, I'm confident.
Now you don't care.
At this point, I'm confident to say, I was in VIP tours for a period of time, guest relations, and over that course of time,
you drove a monorail.
I did drive a monorail for over a year. I opened Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I was part of the testing team for Rise of the Resistance. Got to see really cool behind the scenes stuff. Bump into amazing Imagineers. Build up all those contacts. Even during the pandemic, I ran a podcast called Imagine Tomorrow. I got to interview Imagineers such as Tim Delaney and Eddie Soto. So I got to speak to amazing people and really interact with, this art form that I love so much. And over the course of that, you hear things. And that's what we're going to kind of talk about today. Is like the stuff that I've heard.
You weren't in the TDA hallways or like you weren't in Glendale at WDI, but like you've said it. Like when Imagineers aren't listened to in the company, they'll just start spilling their woes and all their ideas that they had or might be having, or someday they'll pull them back up. And that's just like, yeah, you'll listen to me?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Here's what I think should happen. And I actually work at WDI. Does that mean that's actually going to happen? Not necessarily. And I think that's the big caveat before we really, bust this conversation wide open and even talk about Tomorrowland and these rumors, is like, these are rumblings. These are things that you hear on the street. And as a cast member, you have your ears to the ground. So when construction might happen, some place might get shut down and cast members might get moved from one place to another, you're going to start hearing things because it's operations. Things need to change. They need to move out of the way so stuff can happen.
Yeah, and things indirectly telegraph other things. Like cast members being up on the loading platform for the People Mover looking at the track doesn't mean the People Mover is coming back. It means they're looking at Tomorrowland and should we tear this down?
Well, and even sometimes it's, I have the key to go up there. Let's go up there and look around. Yeah. Like even as, when I was doing VIP tours, like I would have a day off and I would go around and I would, okay, let's go into the Rocket Rods queue. Let's just go look at that. Let's go take this tunnel that goes from this point underground at Disneyland to this other point. Why? Because you can. And it gives you that opportunity of really exploring this place and becoming familiar with it, but also seeing the bones and the, what's undiscovered or what is not seen by the general guest.
Yeah, and if like an Imagineer has an idea, they're like, hey, I'm going to go down to the park, right? And they probably have their permission to, right?
Exactly.
And to just be like, I have an idea. Oh, it's not going to work because there's an underground tunnel here. It's like, oh, that's okay. I'll think of something else or we'll work around that. Yeah. So, Imagineers running around Tomorrowland for a week could mean they're repainting Tomorrowland. Yeah. It could mean they're tearing it down. It could mean they're changing one thing. So
it could mean their team is working on what's going on with Space Mountain right now, and so they're taking the opportunity to look around at the same moment.
I already drove down here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm already here. Might as well go, take a look. Even with the
and
People
they're
Mover
dorks.
track,
they want to look at everything.
So. Exactly. All the time with the People Mover track, they go up there. Why? Because they have lighting rigs up there. They have stuff to switch out. They have to put a new speaker in or whatever it is. It's like things happen, and that's not a full signal of, oh, they're gonna start something. As I said at the end of my Twitter thread most recently, just about these Tomorrowland rumors, it's like until you get that announcement at D23, and even then, what they announce at D23 isn't necessarily always what they build. We all know that. But until it's announced, it's not a real thing that's happening. It's only what are we really feeling? What are those rumblings? And to get more into those, early on this year, I heard a lot of rumors around what's going on with Galactic Grill. And I'm like, nothing's happening to Galactic Grill, really, right? And it's like, no, apparently Galactic Grill is going to close at some point and get changed. And not just that, maybe that whole building, which you think of, okay, there's Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters there. Like, what do you do with that? Most recently, we had the announcement of over in Tokyo, they're going to be putting in a Wreck-It Ralph version of that attraction. Already you saw a change in Hong Kong to turn their Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters into Ant-Man and the Wasp.
That thing sucks, man.
Yeah. That's what everyone says.
At first glance, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
And then you watch it and you're like, nothing's happening.
Yeah, there's no physical movement anymore. And that it'll be interesting to see. Looking at the ride system and looking at what they did in Shanghai in particular. Shanghai, I think, was the first real example of them modernizing the attraction. So it's the same, laser tag type Omnimover ride, but we're going to plus it. And that's what I hope they do. That's the speculation side is, okay, let's plus this thing. What is it going to be? I don't think they're going to keep Buzz Lightyear as the IP anymore. I think it will definitely change IP. I don't think that they're going to do what they're doing in Tokyo because they never want that thing to be the same. Kind of the rumblings I've heard is that was the original version of what was going to go at Disneyland. It was going to be a Wreck-It Ralph attraction in that building, and now that is what they're doing in Tokyo. And so maybe they've chosen a different IP, and you can kind of speculate of what futuristic IP that would be. Speculation on my side, I would say WALL-E would be a great match for that. But it's kind of it's kind of dealer's choice. We don't know yet what they're going to put in there, but let's just say that it's changing.
Would they bet on Tron?
See, I think Tron is for something else, and I'm going to get to that because that's another rumor. I didn't post this in the thread. I alluded to it with the concept art. The concept art was the old Scott Drake art of Tomorrowland that they were supposed to do back in the 2010s. Tomorrowland was supposed to be redeveloped, and then they took all the budget from all the parks and they decided to go build Shanghai Disneyland. So a lot of the original Shanghai Disneyland Tomorrowland concept art originates with them trying to redesign Disneyland's Tomorrowland.
What is Shanghai's Tomorrowland?
It is the original Tron Light Cycle run.
Right.
It has a Marvel exhibit, I believe, and the Astro Blasters attraction there. They also have a Jetpacks attraction that is their version of the Astro Orbiter, so it's a modern take on that. It's a very futuristic. I mean, it has to be futuristic because you're near Shanghai, which is a futuristic city, and so that's one of the things that they purposely designed their Tomorrowland to emulate the futurism of the city that is nearby. It's definitely not like necessarily a Western take on futurism or anything like that. It's very bioluminescent. It has this interesting design to it.
It's very funky.
Well, and they designed the coaster in particular, the sort of shade that goes over Tron, and they copied it to Disney World, but it was designed to look like a Chinese dragon. Like that was the inspiration. So it's really cool to see, that land and the way that looks. We are not getting that.
And honestly, okay, especially looking at this jetpack ride,
Yeah.
this looks like a very outdated future look. Like, not like we think the future looks this
Yeah.
way. It's that there was this design language at the time that they designed this. 2010s.
Yes. Yeah, it is 2010s design.
And
it is very
Very
that.
like little like weird, bubbly, over-designed vents.
Yeah.
Like the way cars look right now. Like
Yes. Yeah.
So,
It's
which we're
not-
getting away from.
It's not simplistic.
Yeah.
It's very
Like think of, they changed it now, but the Honda Civic hatchbacks that had like 5
On the
tails
back,
on
yeah.
the back. And like even Audi has all the fake vents everywhere, but they're moving away. Everything's getting smooth again and whatever.
Yeah.
So
But that's always the challenge with Tomorrowland. And that's even the challenge they've had in our Tomorrowland. What I posted in particular in the thread is say, think of it as a higher budget version of Tomorrowland 98. And that does not mean the theme of Tomorrowland 98, even though I think retrofuturism is a huge part of what's going to happen with Tomorrowland. It already is happening. It is what Tomorrowland is. But more think of it as, you're getting an overlay. You're getting an update. You're getting everything's repainted. The lighting is redesigned. But your buildings aren't going to change that much structurally.
so we got another 20 years before we can hope for that then.
I even think longer than that, because I think with Disneyland Forward, they've already announced that is their 30-year plan for Disneyland.
Oh, it's 30.
It's like 25
Right.
to 30 years. And so it's one of those things where what I was told is that there was a mandate at Imagineering from, I don't know, Josh Tomorrow or Chris Beatty or some other executive, fix Tomorrowland, finalize it so we can move on. Like they don't want to be 10 years down the line or 20 years down the line opening a third gate at Disneyland and still, at the resort and still going over to Disneyland and seeing the same version of Tomorrowland we have today. It can't happen. They need to finalize parts of the park so they can just keep maintaining them, keeping them, up to date with time. But all of your money is really being funneled to expansion, to capacity expansion.
So the most concrete thing, none of this is concrete,
Yeah.
but things we can bet on. Star Tours, unchanged completely.
Yeah, I think Star Tour. Well, say that the ride doesn't change. Maybe little things in the queue get updated with time, just for effects reasons. But it
But
is
also
the same.
maybe not, because
Maybe not,
like
yeah.
this, they're not going to change the color of the star speeder in the queue
No.
because they're not changing all the video in when you
No.
see the other star speeders.
But I do believe that every time a new Disney Plus series comes out and they want to promote it, it doesn't cost them that much to go and program and add in a new destination.
Especially because it's a pre-programmed, old school flight simulator.
Yeah.
Very easy.
You don't have to program an entirely new video game to put in over at
Yeah,
Millennium
that
Falcon.
auto corrects when you suck,
Yeah.
and all this other stuff, and the system on the Millennium Falcon on the turntable with the system they use. I know it's probably very similar to like the Lexus driving simulator type deal, but it's a newer type of thing, harder to program for, and more variables. Where Star Tours is so old, but it's tried and true and feels very realistic. Still.
Yes.
But it's like everyone knows how these simulators work. They more or less bought a simulator.
Yeah.
So it's fine. And they have them all over the world now. Shanghai has the Iron Man one. Like, they'll just update it.
And it's still, I think it's one of those things that you don't have to touch Star Tours now. And maybe in 10 years, you do want to tear it out and replace it with an entirely new simulator or do something else. But at least for the foreseeable future, it can stay, because you're always going to have new Star Wars content that you want to put in somewhere, and it doesn't fit into Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, that's very true.
And that's the thing is, sure, people are like, yeah, move this over to Galaxy's Edge, do this or that. They don't want to do that. If they do add a new attraction to Galaxy's Edge at some point, they want to add a new attraction. They don't want to bring the old one over there. And Star Tours is still popular. It's one of those things, if you really just measure the popularity of experiences and what if we could fit more people into this experience, or we could get more people interested in this experience. That's really what they're looking at.
It's what I say about, this is really random, but like Golden Zephyr.
Yeah.
Why is it still there? It's like, it takes a very small footprint. It's a very short ride. So you just get people in. You can't fit people onto anything else in that space. Why would they get rid of an attraction? It's like, people will see it. I've seen people go on it and they walk right on, like, oh, that was nice.
Yeah.
And I saw the Try Guys, Keith, he went and ate everything. He goes, that was pleasant. I could have done with a little bit longer, but not too much longer.
Yeah.
Or it's like, yeah, it could be like 30 seconds longer. And then you're like, ah, that was nice. It was wonderful. Yeah. Goodbye. So yeah, Star Tours, it's like one of those, it's a big area, but it's not a track. It's not a big footprint. It's just there.
Yeah.
And so
next to Star Tours, we have Space Mountain. Space Mountain, I mean, it's just a classic. Like, I think ever since in 2005, they retracked it and they kept it very close, the same to the original track.
The only problem with Space Mountain is the exterior building.
Yeah.
I think. Well, the queue, little rough.
Yeah.
They're doing the renovation right now with new lighting. It said floor tiling. Is that in the queue?
I'm pretty sure that's the queue. I'm pretty sure it's the entire queue.
Because that's like linoleum floor.
Yeah. But I think the entire queue of the ride, if you've been in there recently, you can notice the panels are damaged. Yeah. The queue is damaged. It's getting old. They haven't fixed it really since 2005.
They oddly have the Imperial, what is that, seal?
Yes,
in the queue, where they're just like, that's a design on the floor, but when it's hyperspace, the Empire.
Yeah, exactly. It works out.
They're not going to do this, but they should give it some live windows in those hallways.
Yeah, that would be good.
Just freaking TVs, man.
They just,
rip them out of the Star Cruiser.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, we found a place for them right over here in California. I think that, you look at something in Japan where they're as brave as, we're going to tear down the original version of Space Mountain that we have here, and we're going to build an entirely new modern roller coaster. And it's not even a copy of Cosmic Rewind, which is what everyone believed, including myself. It's like, no, they're building something new over here. Like, that's
Do you think
exciting.
It'll use the Cosmic Rewind system?
I'm not sure anymore. Because the track, it's not the same track manufacturer. It's entirely different. And so it's like, at first everyone's like, oh, it's going to be this thing. And now they're using very recently copyrighted versions of launch systems, and imagine where you get backed up into a certain thing and it rises you to then go into a launch tunnel that goes up to the top of the mountain. They're doing some interesting stuff. You can see construction photos and you're like, okay, there's something unique's happening here.
His Cosmic Rewind is wonderful.
I can't wait to go on it one day.
You haven't been?
I haven't yet. I haven't been to Disney World since Tron and Cosmic Rewind opened.
Oh, dude.
So it's been a minute.
I didn't do Tron, but Cosmic Rewind is truly it. I kind of believe people in their Space Mountain 2.0, but that sounds like a very overhyped thing to say.
Yeah.
No, it is. It does have not issues.
Mm-hmm.
Certain things that are not 100% up to snuff. Like anytime you're looking down.
Yeah.
Not the best, but it's still wonderful.
Well, and then the other part of it too is, they do Cosmic Rewind and they're remodeling, Space Mountain. And even in Disneyland Paris, they have the whole Avengers Flight Force. And that's very, it's rock and roller coaster, but now we're adding projected, planets and stuff like that around there. If you've been on Space Mountain recently, they added some projected elements inside the mountain, just very lightly. Not too much. But it's just enough to add in. You're not just looking at disco balls anymore. You have a planet here, a galaxy here.
You know what? With that comment you just said, I think it distracts you just enough, or it focuses your eye, and you don't look at the disco balls.
Exactly.
In my mind, I haven't seen a disco ball in a while.
Yeah.
Because I have things to look at.
There's points of focus
now.
And
they're not too bright either.
No,
it works.
No, they found the right amount and right medium. I cannot wait to see what they're going to do with the new lighting tunnel, because that needed to be completely overhauled. It was definitely like showing its age. I think that you're going to continue to see little modifications to Space Mountain. That's clearly what they're lining up here. I think that's 100% a part of what's happening with Tomorrowland. I think Tomorrowland is a phase-by-phase, step-by-step remodel. Now, they'll do a bigger announcement so that they can actually put in the new front of the land and do this modification, that modification. But it's one of those things that they work through the land to update it with time. Very similar to what they did with Epcot, but hopefully with more success than they've had there. I think that that's kind of the like what they originally would hope to do with Tomorrowland, and that's we'll see how they are able to deliver. Just thinking of it, it's like, okay, what needs the most change? What can we really do in this land, and what is reasonable? What needs to change and what doesn't? Most recently, like you look at the UFO that's in Tomorrowland, and they changed out the lighting package. I just saw on social media they replaced all the LED in that, and that's sticking around. I don't think even in New Tomorrowland, maybe it gets a different paint job.
That needs to go away.
I don't know, though. I don't know if it will. Because that's the part of me that's thinking again in that, and it's the reason I put in Tomorrowland 98 as a reference, is like, I think that's kind of what we're looking at, is just aesthetic overhaul. You're not going to see tear down rebuild. That being said, I've heard of tear down rebuild for certain particular things. So
you brought up the theater.
The theater, which, interesting thing to note, the Tomorrowland Theater has not been used since we came back from the pandemic.
Yeah.
What I have been told, and I used to work at the Tomorrowland Theater, even back then, I worked the Tomorrowland Theater when the motion base for the theater finally stopped working, which if you didn't know, it's a giant airbag under there. Doesn't work anymore.
Oh, it was one big motion base.
Yeah, it was one big motion base. It might have been multiple airbags, but I remember it was just the whole thing, moves up and down.
That's wild.
I have been told that I guess they had attempted to replace that or spent the money to do that, but it doesn't matter because the roof is unstable. And the roof has been unstable for a long time. They used to have a cast member.
Roped off.
There used to be a cast member up on top who would yell at you if you ran across that helipad looking thing up there. They don't do it anymore because a few kids running out there isn't going to cause a problem. If you put a queue full of people on top of there, maybe your roof collapses because there's nothing supporting underneath and you fall into the theater.
So for those that might not know, it used to be an open air theater where really cool band played for one summer called Helix. Guys, if you are listening to Trammin, a Disneyland podcast, and you are not my mom who listens because she loves me, go watch. I mean, she might find this interesting anyway, but go watch the Helix thing because you are enough of a nerd that you will be extremely interested in this.
Oh yeah.
Halyx. It's How We Know Matthew Serrano. It's a Defunctland. It's Defunctland's first feature film. It's about an hour and 10 minutes. It's really good. Got some good music in it. Don't look up spoilers or anything. Like seriously, go watch it.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of juicy Disneyland history in there, but interviews with like Disney execs.
Yeah.
Who had enough tenure and are retired and can just say whatever. Like no one's doing anything.
It's not going to matter anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not suing Bambi,
And speaking of Helix, real quick, I believe it was last D23. Helix was actually name dropped.
It was a D23 or Star Wars Celebration, but either way, it was Scott Trowbridge.
It was Star Wars Celebration actually. Yeah.
Yeah, because they were talking about Star Tours.
Yeah, they were talking about Star Tours, and Scott Trowbridge name dropped Helix. Hey, anybody remember this thing? And at the time, that was definitely Helix is legitimately in a conversation of we could reference this thing in the future. This could come back in some way to Disneyland. If they do officially say we're doing a new Tomorrowland thing, we're going to have a stage show over here. We're redoing the Galactic Grill. They could totally redo Galactic Grill and bring in Helix. They could do that if they wanted to. I don't know if they are, but they could.
But the theater,
from what I heard, and this has been two different ideas. And even when I worked in Tomorrowland, the idea at one point was to get rid of the theater, and that's where you put the Astro Orbiter in front of Space Mountain. And they wanted to move
on the floor
down there. And they basically wanted it to be a spaceport side of Tomorrowland. So you have the rocket over here at Pizza Planet, you have Space Mountain, and you have the Astro Orbiter, and you have the rocket spinning.
The same Astro Orbiter, yeah.
Probably. Or the same mechanism, and then it's been modernized. But either way, you move that over there. Every time the Astro Orbiter has gone down for a major complete demolition and rebuild, because that thing is clanking away and the planets keep breaking.
They don't always spin.
No, they
Do
don't.
they spin at all anymore?
I don't even know right now.
This
if
is
they
like a
do.
Mandela
They
thing
do
for me.
every time it comes back. They spin and then they something breaks and they stop. It's one of those things that every time that happens, everyone speculates they're going to finally move it. They're going to finally do something, and
'Cause they don't do it often, and it's wild for them to
Yeah.
remove a ride completely.
entirely.
Like when people got afraid with the Silly Symphony.
yeah,
Like they can't work on it up there.
no,
I mean, so they just remove it,
Mhm.
which is insane.
wild.
But
It's
Yeah.
one of those things that, okay, cool. They take it down. They do the maintenance that they need to do because you're putting
They
people
could
on
have
these little
painted it.
rockets. Could have, and they did paint it. They
Yeah.
did repaint it, but they painted it with the old colors because they have those paint cans.
that and probably they're like, we don't have a plan yet. Just repaint it. We'll come back. It's not that
Exactly.
hard to repaint.
like,
it.
yeah, and they don't know how long it's going to be until
Yeah.
that happens. And I think that's just, general maintenance that they have to do. And it's good that they
Yeah.
continue
Instead
to
of
do
get Imagineering in here, it's like,
Yeah.
all right, get maintenance in here. They know what to do.
The other speculation for over on the theater is that would become a large, the gift shop for Tomorrowland. That they put it at the base of Space Mountain. They'd rebuild the entire Space Mountain queue, and they build in a gift shop in that space and then widen the center of the land. To what end? Who knows? But it's that kind of
But like they have 2 gift shops, and one is
But
the exit to Star Tours.
what if one of them had to close?
For?
Some type of expansion or some new attraction. This plays into the rumor
Oh, the
at
Buzz
one
Lightyear
point.
building.
The Buzz Lightyear,
Yeah, yeah.
Lightyear building is being completely redeveloped. What if they get rid of Little Green Men Store Command because they're going to do some change to the
But
attraction?
anything that is going to be redeveloped, besides possibly the theater that will
Yeah.
get demolished, would be gutted, you're saying.
Entirely, yeah.
But not demolished.
Not
The
demolished.
walls will stay.
Yeah. I think the highest budget version of New Tomorrowland is very similar to some ideas they played with Avengers Campus, where the restroom is the old tissue box restroom from Bugs Land. Same exact guts. They just changed the outside facade. That's kind of what you're looking at with Tomorrowland. Like, no matter what, the core steel is fine. We're just going to change what the facade looks like. And sometimes they might have to because of asbestos or something else. But like it's, which is entirely other conversation. But
I made Jeff cackle
Mhm.
on Jungle Cruise because we go past the temple and the tigers. He goes, that's new. And I go, oh, you don't know? He goes, no, what? I go, oh, a beam fell and they found asbestos in there and had to replace it with this temporarily. And he died. He was just like, what? It's the most modern Disney thing ever. So in this, the People Mover platform is staying.
Right now, that's what I believe. But there's a part of me that thinks that they would love to, if they bring back the People Mover in some way, that whole strip where you go to the middle of the land and you have that narrow little platform there, that's not going to be there anymore. That's gone.
I think people really don't understand this.
Yeah.
The People Mover track cannot be used.
It's
for multiple reasons.
I think for multiple reasons it can't, but at the same time there is will enough that they did they hired a contractor to come in and inspect it and say, can we use any of this? And they said, you can. It's going to cost you, but you could.
The big thing though is the OSHA and ADA evacuation requirements, where you'd have to have both sides fenced, right? You can't have, right now, one side is fenced.
There's only one way that they can do it where they wouldn't have to have both sides in that way. And that would be some type of fast moving attraction. You're not going to get the classic People Mover back.
With break zones.
And from what I heard, and this has been a while, this is the last time Tomorrowland rumors were popping up. The rumor is that in 2022, when they were going up there at the panel, and they dropped so many things about the future and tomorrow and imagining tomorrow. Like, they talked a lot about that. And the original belief is that they were going to announce New Tomorrowland at that convention and then kind of drop it from there. But just like to name drop that we're going to redevelop Tomorrowland. They chose not to do that because they weren't close enough yet. The original intent was for the Lightyear movie from Pixar to do well at the box office and be the cornerstone of New Tomorrowland.
I forgot about the one zoomed out shot that was Space Mountain and Innoventions next to each other.
Yes.
In the movie.
Yeah.
Like straight
so
up.
clearly you could tell that there was some intention of what if we
There's
did
a
this?
big round structure to the left and
Yeah.
it was their launch thing that looked like Space Mountain to the right. I'm like, dude, I was in a movie theater. I saw this in a movie theater and I was like, I only didn't say it out loud because I'm not like this in movie theaters, but I just went, oh no.
Yeah.
Like this is they had the shot.
They had a version of Space Mountain with Lightyear, like they had already developed stuff to project in Space Mountain that was Lightyear themed.
Yeah, with his weird light speed slingshot.
And already tested it in the ride with cast members.
Oof.
From what I was told, a few cast members got to experience this when the Imagineers were doing a testing phase as proof of concept.
The thing with Space Mountain that people don't know is all the overlays and stuff now, except for the physical props, they're little switches on a panel.
Yeah.
And I've heard Rocket Space Mountain is a switch. And
the switch is there, but I don't think they could ever turn it. Like, I don't think that the programming is there anymore.
Yeah, but it's like, it would be that simple.
Yeah.
More or less. And the Chili Peppers song is still in there, supposedly. The craziest thing about Rocket Space Mountain is that the sign has it in there. And it never happened.
No.
If not for a grad night that no one remembers. But like, that's about it. But so, yeah, Lightyear bombed.
Yeah.
I think it was a fun little movie. But it wasn't like a Pixar film.
And I think some of those ideas of what they were going to do in Tomorrowland are still existing in whatever project is happening now. Again, retrofuturism, going after, again, trying to make a timeless look, but not in the vein of what they were doing in 98, where they were just like, let's just reuse all the stuff that we did for Paris.
Without reuse. They reuse the Astro Orbiter and then all the paint.
Yeah.
But then anything from the Space Mountain building turned into the satellites.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think people don't know. The satellites on top of the People Mover platform used to spin because they were the rocket jets. They were the Astro Orbiter.
It was the original attraction up there.
It's still up there.
It's still
just broken.
Yeah. Like so much of the land.
But the song is still there. It's the one where you hear, they sound like NASA computer sounds, like a whirring, clicking type of thing. And anytime you'd hear that song, they would spin to that song.
And it was a little show.
Yeah.
It was the Observatron show. That entire platform, I believe, is not salvageable in any way. Like, even if they do reuse the track, and there is versions, the concept art from the 2010s, where they show a light cycle type attraction going through on the People Mover track through the land, which again, recent sort of surveys and feasibility studies said basically you could use the base level infrastructure. I mean, you're probably going to tear down a lot of the concrete, but the base level like foundations for stuff could be reused. And that would mean that you could have a brand new kind of Rocket Rods-esque attraction in the land, which would be ironic. But it's a real question of, are you going to spend the money to do that? Or are you just going to do the minimum to make the land work for the next 20 years and quote unquote work?
So if you had to guess, before we even talk about attraction, are the People Mover tracks and platform remaining?
I think some of it is. Some of it is and some of it isn't.
Central Tomorrowland.
I don't think Central Tomorrowland, because I think whatever loading they're going to do, that's where Launch Bay is.
Ah.
Like
But does the track doesn't go back there, does it?
Yeah, the track goes through the Launch Bay building.
Oh, right.
Up on the second floor.
Yes, it goes
That's
from
where the
left.
old Tron show scene was.
And then goes through Space Mountain.
Yeah.
With the weird glass.
Yes.
They did replace the glass, which is interesting too.
Yeah. I personally feel that either you're putting your load platform there or you're going to have to build an entirely new load platform in the center of Tomorrowland from the ground up.
So you think they'll put a load platform back there? But now you said possibly fast moving, right? Or no?
I think it's going to be fast moving. I don't think you're getting classic People Mover because they're going to name drop People Mover for the resort.
What do you mean?
We're going to get there.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those things where the slow moving People Mover attraction, yes, it's nostalgic. Yes, like if they had the opportunity to do that, I think they would. The problem is, as we were talking about OSHA and sort of creating accessibility and having to have space on either side of the vehicle for evac, just doesn't work with the existing infrastructure. If you build a roller coaster with brake runs, you can do that. I don't think we're getting Tron Light Cycle Run. I think we're getting a light cycle style attraction that might have a Tron section, but it is not Tron itself. And it's because you can do something that brings the whole land together.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to be, now, would you think they'd reuse the track over Autopia and next to the monorail?
I think they have two legitimate options. They can either keep the structure over there because now you have the outdoor portion for the ride and you go over Autopia, which Autopia would be closed, by the way, because it's getting electrified. So, and they already said it will be electrified by 2026. So Disney's already given us a timetable of that ride. Like they could announce at D23 and say Autopia is closing like in 6 months.
Yeah. Because what's going on right now? We have Haunted Mansion, which should reopen by January? Because it's
sooner. Haunted Mansion is supposed to open by, we're getting the anniversary that's coming up. They're opening it soon because they announce it's
the queue won't be open.
Queue's not open.
So
queue
I'm saying
is going
like
to take for a while.
They're still doing construction, which I don't understand what the hell they're doing there.
Delays.
Come on.
Yeah.
It's an embarrassment.
And I think they were driving really hard to get Tiana's open, and at the same time,
that's not open.
Yeah. So it's like they've had so many delays with the whole New Orleans project right now. But it's also the ambition of it and also the need to do it right for a multitude of reasons.
Critter Country.
Yeah, Critter Country. All of it.
Still closing more later. Is something going to happen to Hungry Bear, or are they just closing it to clean everything?
They're expanding the kitchen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Will we get the same windows and whatnot, you think?
I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see if Hungry Bear reopens as Hungry Bear or changes to Bayou Critter, something like that. Because we already know that the sign to Critter Country is changing. So now it's a question of, okay, like how much of the land is changing to be more critter? It's still Critter Country, but now it's more the critters of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So I think that's where they're headed. So again, Winnie the Pooh is still staying. It's not changing.
Let's put a pin in that because
we got to get back to Tomorrowland.
I want to get back to Tomorrowland, and then we'll come back with Galactic Girl and Hungry Bear.
Cool.
So you think possibly the outdoor track will remain? Now, okay, when you say things can remain, the pylons that hold up the track can remain. Yeah, but the track is damaged.
The track is gone.
Like they have to, because it's not wide enough, probably, right? It's cracked, from the non-banked corners of rocket rods. Yeah, go check out the abandoned video if you didn't know about any of this. But like Goodyear, another sponsorship, pulled out, and they broke the track.
Yeah,
and so Jeff says people can't even walk up there, really. People shouldn't be walking.
People shouldn't be walking up there. Not that they can't. And it's again one of those things of, okay, they hired a survey team, and the survey team said you could use them. It just takes money. It just takes budget. You just have to go up there and you have to tear all the guts out of it, replace a bunch of the concrete, build brand new stuff. That's the thing.
The concrete is like, there are fractures in the concrete.
Yeah. So you're going to have to replace parts of it.
But the pylons might be able to remain and take the load of whatever's going to be on there.
And I think that's what it comes down to is like, okay, do they want to use the Autopia section or do they not? But if Autopia is staying long term, and that's the thing, is Autopia is the last remaining opening day attraction in Tomorrowland. Disney doesn't have a recent track record of getting rid of opening day attractions because they're opening day, because they have history. Number two, they did a survey at Autopia. I was there when they were doing this survey to guess as they got off of Autopia, would you be okay with this being replaced with a faster attraction, a more intense experience, something for older kids, whatever it is? The kids like Autopia because for a child, Autopia is really cool because they get to be in control of a vehicle. They get to drive.
Are we getting fully new vehicles, or are they
fully new vehicles? I believe
they're just going to throw them away.
They're going to throw them away. Entirely new vehicles, new design, new Autopia. Everything gets changed.
I think something they really need to change is the loading and unloading.
Yes,
it is a mess. I understand why it's the way it is. Someone needs to move the car.
Yeah.
Will they change that? Will the car be able to pull itself forward, or will something be able to pull it forward? You know what I mean?
They have the ability to change so much.
Because at night, when you get to the end of the ride, there are a bunch of cars in front of you that no one got in.
Yeah.
So the cast members have to go move them.
Yeah.
And then that's how you go forward. So you're just stuck.
I don't know. They could. It's all about investment, and then that actually comes down to Autopia is still a sponsored attraction,
right? And,
with Honda.
And Honda loves sponsoring things.
Honda, and that's the thing, is I could totally see that because Honda sponsors that attraction, they can go to Honda and hey, are you going to re-up your lease of this thing? Cool. You are? Are you interested in sponsoring and spending a little bit more money to completely redevelop this and make it modern?
I think Honda will put LEDs on the cars.
Oh, yeah.
And a big logo. And then, so kids are going to want a Honda.
They're going to want a Honda because it's the future.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I'd like. The same reason that over in Epcot, they're getting their test track remodels, the same reason that Autopia is probably getting its remodel. The real question is, will they take that and ride the coattails of Autopia getting updated to change everything else? And Autopia being closed for, definitely over a year to do this remodel. Will they take the opportunity to take down that part of the People Mover track, to retrofit it, to do whatever they need to do? Because that's the time. It's like, that's your commitment. Either we tear this down now because we have the time, or we're going to, redo the infrastructure so we can add in our new experience to Tomorrowland. Either way, monorail, submarines, Autopia, not changing. At least, not going away. They're going to stay, which automatically is like, cool, that whole idea of tearing all that out to build a new expansion pad, you don't need to do that anymore because we have Disneyland Forward. So now it's more of, we can commit to Autopia staying long term. We can commit to these other things.
So we're stuck with the same monorail vehicles.
I think that they're kind of...
Would they have to close the platform for a little while?
I think they might. It depends how extensive things are with Autopia.
The only thing is, this is such a silly thing and it doesn't matter. If the monorail's closed, will they finally just tear off all the vinyl and paint them?
They need to, because that's been the whole issue. Yeah.
You know what, though? They would paint them.
Yeah.
Because if they're going to do a new Tomorrowland, you give it a sleek new look. Even if they don't change it to a Mark 8, it's 7 now,
the
right?
monorail already looks futuristic. The newest one already looks the part to fit into new Tomorrowland.
It would have to be like
paint.
Gray, white, silver with some cool stripes, like accent
There,
colors. Yeah. But not... I think the full color thing wouldn't work anymore.
The monorail and the concept art for the Downtown Disney expansion has a completely different paint job than what exists. Those are little things that I'm just like, it could work. And even the whole existence, and people have, we've had conversations where, look at Downtown Disney, look at this whole like very retro future, like modernist design. Isn't this Tomorrowland? Like, it kind of feels like that.
A silver monorail would work with both.
But I wonder if that's the whole point, is that it's not that, this is all you get. It's that this is the transition. So that when you go to Tomorrowland, there's a smooth transition from you going to Tomorrowland to arriving in new Downtown Disney.
So, okay. So talk monorail, a little bit of Autopia. I think I had one. They'd update the Autopia theme a little bit, right? It's
for sure. I think again, you're getting
Asimo's gone, right?
I don't know.
Honda doesn't care about him anymore, do they?
They cared enough to build a lot of them for the ride, for the new.
It's not. Those aren't real Asimos.
Yeah,
those are, dude.
Yeah,
would not be surprised if Honda
new
just
Asimo.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that. I just meant the current ones. The current ones, they're just like, we're done with this project. Just send them all to Disneyland.
Yeah,
I
don't know. It's again, it's Honda sponsorship, so something's going to happen there. They're going to announce something for Tomorrowland. It's, do they announce more than that? And I just feel like the answer has to be yes, because they have to do this. They have to. This is a near-term thing. This is a thing that happens over the course of the next 2-3 years. The only thing that might take longer is a new attraction. This is discounting Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters changing.
Right.
I think that's happening
which
regardless.
the People Mover track goes through.
Yes.
So that was my other question. If the People Mover track was to be reused, and it would largely remain the same, do you think that they'd get rid of the platform and then just connect the Star Tours track to the Buzz Lightyear track and have it loop?
That's the version that was in the concept art for early 2000s, as far as I'm aware.
So we'll load in Innovations and just keep it going.
And you'll just take this big curb around the front of the land. You'll just see really fast things pass
which would look way cooler than it.
And when I say really fast, it's like, it's not going to go that fast, but it's going to be fast enough that you're going to actually bank these turns and you're going to have this ride over the land. And it's
not
cool.
going Radiator Springs fast.
No.
What do we have? Like, what could it be comparable to,
Yeah. I don't know. It could, and this is the whole thing that like if you really wanted to retrofit it and actually have like full new sections out above Autopia, you can make it go a little faster. You can have some really fun scenes out there. You know, you can make it work. But really it's just kinetic energy's back. Like that's the whole thing, is that you need a Tomorrowland where everything's working and you don't have large portions of the land that are dead. And I think that's really the core of what can happen. And again, like I was saying, you know, a new attraction, like that huge building that is Star Wars Launch Bay and has the DVC lounge upstairs. Now, the DVC lounge is the thing that people are like, they're never going to get rid of this or whatever. I was afraid when they announced the DVC lounge that would mean buildings there to stay. We're stuck with it. I don't believe that's true at all. I've been in that DVC lounge. It feels extremely temporary in the way that you have these curtains with a few LED lights to create the stars. You have this and that. It's one of those things that, yes, money was spent, but a lot of it's stuff you can just tear out.
And they're getting the full lounge in DCA.
Yes.
If you're a DVC, you're probably park hopping, you know.
Yeah.
And you have a whole hotel,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't have like a DVC exclusive thing in there,
Yeah. But what if, you know, okay, we tear out that entire building and we build in a brand new pavilion attraction or whatever it is. What if DVC still gets a part of that? What if, you know, you get to actually have new infrastructure? You're not stuck in some temporary building where your DVC people are walking into an abandoned building to go to their lounge.
Yeah, that is weird.
It's already bad.
Throw them up on the platform.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where the original Tomorrowland project that was, you know, when I was there, Joe Rohde was going to be in charge of Tomorrowland, and they had this whole eco future plan. And there was a lot of like, he was there at D23. He was in the land. He was touring executives around Tomorrowland. There was the whole tease and the Imagineering story of him picking up the Launch Bay building. Like there was so much that was going to be courted. They're going to build a huge, you know, main building here at the back of the land. And we're going to move the Astro Orbiter and everything. So when you enter Tomorrowland, you get this brand new futuristic building that you're looking at when you enter the land.
Okay. So
that's the other part of me believing that center platform for the, you know, people mover, that's all gone, because you're going to have this look that goes straight towards a brand new pavilion building.
So you get rid of that.
Yeah.
You get rid of the platform. Astro Orbiter moves in front of Space Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
The queue to Space Mountain is not really affected. You probably focus on Starcade a little more.
A little bit more,
the queue. But it's a blink building. They do whatever they want. The downstairs of Starcade is kind of worthless too.
Yeah.
They do corporate stuff sometimes there, but who cares? Right?
Yeah.
So
it's just event space.
Yeah. They'd probably, well, then they'd get rid of, I mean, it would be tight, I guess. They'd have to mess with stuff. But like, you know, the whole left side.
Well, and you think of, okay, if I want to get rid of and expand the building portfolio of where Launch Bay is, well, I can't mess with that walkway too much because now I'm going to bump into the platform and Galactic Grill. But what if Galactic Grill and the platform are already being changed anyway? That's why it's like when you're phasing this out, you're like, we got a phase 1 and a phase 2. And very often phase 2s don't happen. But phase 1 has to happen in order for you to eventually build phase 2.
And even like if you put the queue to Space Mountain where it still is, you can have it, I don't know how this would work with the height and stuff, but like wrap around Astro Orbiter, like crazy stuff like that. Who knows?
Well, back in the day, you know, the theater, there used to be a space that you kind of go around the back
you still
there and stuff.
You still do.
Yeah.
Right? You still go. The queue is the same. They just put a fake roof that you can't walk on, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I just think that this is the time that you're going to get that announcement because it's the right moment. I don't know if it's going to be the biggest project in the world, but I do think that they have enough budget to give it that space. And we're going to get into more things happening because now we're going to kind of rush through the rest of this because I think we don't really
care about the other stuff as much. It's just like, and it's a lot of updates, but okay. So now we've done all of Tomorrowland except you've mentioned Galactic Grill. Yeah. So the reason I actually feel like this could be important, Galactic Grill and Hungry Bear. Hungry Bear could be the test case. This is just me. Now, there's no information here in terms of Hungry Bear. Go even harder on mobile order.
Ooh, yeah.
Because they've tested it forever. People use it now.
Mm-hmm.
Mobile order gets busy. And you haven't, listened to Disneyland's Tech and Infrastructure, our episode. Great episode. I'm telling you guys. The mobile order system is fully self-contained in the Disney technology stack, I believe. It's not part of Galaxy.
Yeah.
Because it goes through the Disneyland app and uses the internal Apple Pay system, which Galaxy does not like. You can't use Apple Pay to buy your tickets because the tickets are through Galaxy. In stores, like merchandise, if you go to a cashier, they are using Galaxy. Galaxy's built in to the POS system. If you use mobile checkout, you once again go to iPads and Disney's version of checkout with Apple Pay and whatnot. Because for Galaxy, which is their ticketing system, it's a whole thing. They sell the zoos and theme parks everywhere. When you use Apple Pay there, you're using a payment terminal, and it just transfers the information into the system. So it's not the same. So they could go really into mobile order, especially, dude, Tomorrowland.
Oh, man, yeah.
Modern Disney won't do this because it'll alienate people. But I believe like cool Disney would have gone mobile order only and had some really interesting way to pick up your food.
Yeah.
But they know people are too incompetent and dumb and unwilling to change.
Yeah.
But that could be cool. Wait, there is somewhere. Where?
The one of them is the Dole Whip stand outside Tiki Room.
Yeah, I don't mean that though. There is a place where you mobile order and it's preferred, and it's weird if you're ordering in person and it's like harder to order. There's like I guess you can order in person. I'm trying to think of, did I see it in Walt Disney World? Or is it like restaurants? It's hard to explain. It's like the backup in-person ordering is like almost inconvenient for you. But they could do something like that.
Yeah.
But to kind of maximize their space, because right now, I think even the modern ones, it's the cashier in the front, and then you walk up to the window.
Mm-hmm.
Where Galactic Grill is the old school. You walk up to the window, place your order, and then like stand there.
Yeah, awkwardly.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I think these new ones could have more mobile order windows.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you could have like kiosks even if you want to just entirely get rid of the. You only have somebody standing out there to troubleshoot, but you don't have the continuous lines of people taking orders. You're just able to save that staffing.
I think Galactic Grill food will remain largely the same.
I don't know.
I
think
they're
going to change
weird colors and stuff. But
yeah, there's also there's a lot of burger like places around. Like I don't know if you really.
But I feel like if they're gonna kill a burger, they're gonna kill the Hungry Bear burgers and do some.
I don't even think
because they have Tiana's.
No, they already have enough food over there. They already have enough New Orleans food over there. Like they might add one unique thing, but otherwise it's still gonna be. Yeah, maybe.
But even then, you serve a burger at the barbecue.
Yeah,
burger,
maybe
tri-tip,
burger stays, but I think
dogs.
the menu changes dramatically because I think they're going to completely gut and change out stuff in that building. But it's one of those things that gives you an opportunity of like, okay, we announce Autopia and we announce this other thing coming to the land, but we don't go up there on stage and say New Tomorrowland. But if they do, that's great. Like I would love to see overview and we're going to add brand new attraction, this and that. But I can also see a world where we just get this building's getting completely, refitted. And so you have this part of the concept art. You're not even showing Star Tours and Space Mountain. You're just showing this. And then you show Autopia changing. And that's all you announce for now, because that's the stuff that's going to happen near term. But similar to what's happened in Fantasyland, similar to what's happened across the resort, you get iterative updates over time so that there's always something fresh to bring you back to Disneyland when new thing opens here. New thing opens on this side, we have something else to offer you. That was the entire point of something like Pixar Pier, for example, to have a counterbalance, as you would call it, to Galaxy's Edge.
Which, ended up not mattering.
Exactly. But it's like that's kind of the intention behind the people who are running the park, that it's like we want to balance this stuff out because you don't want to end up in a position that like what happened to Universal, where Universal opened Islands of Adventure and it cannibalized its own like park for business. It's the current thing that like if Epic Universe doesn't succeed in the way that Universal expects, it's because of that. It doesn't expand the market share. It just eats its own market share.
Like the Universal people have another Universal park as opposed to
Exactly.
the Disney people going to Universal.
Yes. That's the only thing that can happen that can kind of hinder that.
Yeah, I do think having Mario and a little bit of Harry Potter could pull some Disney people because they're not similar, but so for the shooter ride, you think it will possibly be a Wall-E ride?
I think Wall-E is a great fit in IP.
But you haven't heard anything about Wall-E.
I haven't heard anything.
Okay. About anything at all.
Wall-E is one of those, I have heard Wall-E for Tomorrowland. I just don't know that specifically for the Astro Blasters attraction.
Do you think Pizza Planet will change? It's so good, but so out of place.
Yeah.
It
will change if they don't keep Buzz around. Because that's the other possibility. There is entirely a possibility that if they keep Buzz the IP, they just gut the ride and they rebuild it to be similar to Shanghai's, where it's just an updated version of it.
But if they get rid of Buzz, then if they get rid of Buzz and if they do anything to the Innoventions building, put an attraction there, I think they will change Pizza Planet.
Then you just gut Pizza Planet.
It has to be a future.
You could put Space 220 in Tomorrowland.
Dude, that would be huge.
Massive.
Because apparently that restaurant's not very good, but it's always packed and costs a ton of money.
Yes.
And guys, I'm looking at you through your headphones. People want expensive sit-down restaurants.
Yep.
Because there aren't enough. Because they're always full.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't necessarily want them because we can't spend that money every day. We're not on vacation budget.
Yeah.
But people want sit-downs. They love themed sit-downs.
Yeah.
And kids love space. They will always love space because they probably will never go there.
And if you don't get Space 220 and
he's gonna do it, guys. He's gonna bring up 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
No, I'm not.
I know.
Oh, yeah. I wish I could, but no. Josh Tomorrow hates 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea because every Imagineer pitched it to him and he said no. Except for on the Disney Treasure, which I'm looking forward to. They have a little pub there. But back in Tomorrowland, say, for example, that launch bay building gets torn down and replaced and they put a new attraction in. And it is Tron themed, but it's not Light Cycle Run.
Mm-hmm.
What if instead of Pizza Planet, they tear that out and we end up getting a grid restaurant? You end up getting the End of Line Club.
Do they pull some BS we're in the future so we can serve alcohol thing? Or I guess if
they already can serve alcohol in a sit down. So you want to add a Tomorrowland sit down because you want to be able to serve alcohol.
And which that is big. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to just like downplay that.
No,
and
you're good.
They can call it End of Line Club or whatever, but because it's a sit down, they won't get the club atmosphere, the bar. They don't. I do think, forgetting Walt Disney himself.
Yeah.
I don't think Disney wants a bar atmosphere inside of Disneyland. Like, oh, go to the bar, ask the bartender for something.
Yeah.
They don't want that.
No.
The closest they have is Lamplight Lounge, but it's so chill there that no one acts like that.
No.
So, and you can't walk up to the bar.
Well, and it's one of those things that they know how successful stuff like Electronica was, and to create a permanent infrastructure that's kind of like that, they would love. They just don't want it to become such a party that it's out of control. You know, it's like you want that experience, that fun nature of you're in the Tron, you're in the grid, but you don't want it to get too out of control.
Yeah. So, yeah, they could do that. Now, you think the new People Mover would be Tron themed? Is that what you're implying?
I'm more implying that you could do another Tron attraction that would be entirely different.
Is this assuming the loading is not in Innoventions, or this
is assuming the loading is not in Innoventions. Okay. It is possible that you just do the loading on the second floor, and the first floor would have some type of Tron simulator attraction or something else. But you would need to, like, it's still up in the air. Like, is that what you do, or do you still have the loading platform in the middle of the land, and then you have this new show building in the back? And this is the, like, quote unquote higher budget version of this, where your low budget refurb happens and then you get your phase 2 and it's this.
And because that gives them opportunity to change it, tweak it.
And that's why, again, I don't necessarily know that you get new Tomorrowland announced. I think you get new thing coming to Tomorrowland, and it's not just Autopia, it's other things too.
So we get a couple Tomorrowland announcements, a couple Tomorrowland blurry blue sky sketches.
Yeah.
And then when Disney has nothing to announce another year, they name the project something.
We're doing this. And
Tomorrowland will remain the name Tomorrowland because it's Walt's original Disneyland. They're not changing land names, but they'll call it Tomorrowland Year, New Tomorrowland, Tomorrowland.
Yeah, whatever they want to brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's one of those things, though, that, like, okay, there's a new Tron movie coming out. Tron has this cult of cool around it, even though it was not the most successful thing. Like, it's insane to me that Tron Legacy was not a huge success and yet has two massive roller coasters built around it.
It's weird also that it didn't take off because movie critics and cinephiles were like, oh, the story wasn't that good.
Yeah.
However, on a blockbuster level, the story is better than many.
Yeah. It's kind
Like
of funny.
the average movie that makes hundreds of millions of dollars, the story of Tron Legacy is just as good.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the first Tron movie, it doesn't matter because they go over the history. The past and context of Tron Legacy still picks up after the old Tron. So you get like, this is Kevin Flynn. And you're like, cool, Kevin Flynn sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And then he disappeared. And you're like, oh, where did he go? And then you just get the story there. And, you know, when you go into the arcade and there's the dusty laser, you're just like, if you know what that is, you're like, oh, that's awesome. That's from NCOM. If you don't know what that is, you're like, oh, cool old future technology.
Yeah.
But it's surprising that it didn't just take off with like kids and young people.
I know.
I don't know.
But the merchandise did well. You know, they had incredible
But
amounts
they
of
only
merchandise
did
over there.
high end or hard to get merchandise.
Yeah.
Hurley had a T-shirt and a jacket. Nixon had a watch.
Yeah.
And then they had some frisbees. We have one
Nice.
back here.
Yeah.
Not on camera. Sorry. It was kind of it. The video games,
interesting.
but they all did.
Yeah.
That was it.
It's one of those things of like, I do think like Tron is the thing that can work in Tomorrowland regardless of if the movie is good or not.
Yeah, because people, you could show anyone Tron Legacy and they go, that looks cool. And I want to, I want to do whatever they're doing.
Yeah, I'm interested. Like that's the thing where I'm like, you don't go all in on Tron unless you really feel like it's the right thing. So I think it's like, regardless, Tron is going to go into the land. Is it the full thing or is it not? Is going to be up to if the new Tron film, you know, Ares is a success in some capacity. But I think regardless, it's like you're getting certain things. You have similar core concepts that are going to happen that you just need to happen because Tomorrowland has to go now.
So
Yeah.
Star Tours is staying
Yes.
with updates. Random Mary Blair mural. There's one of them left.
I don't know.
Not yet. Not yet. They'll save it. They'll save it. They'll repaint those murals though.
For me, they will. It's what is the aesthetic of the land? What is the commitment to the aesthetic?
Yeah, we'll get
there. Is
there.
it full retro? Is it not? Like, I don't know that. The rumors do not state that.
Okay. Star Tours is staying. So Star Trader might get a new floor.
Yeah.
That's about it. Does the People Mover go through there?
Yes, it does. Up on the second floor.
So would they? I guess the rocket rods went through there.
They
so
did,
they could put
yeah.
something fast through there.
Yeah.
Okay. Space Mountain will remain.
Yes.
I believe the inside of the show building unchanged, right? Maybe the queue's not really going to get updated past whatever they're doing this August.
Yeah.
I don't think they're doing it this August. They should repaint those vehicles.
Yeah. No, they should at one point I was thinking, I'm like, I don't think they'll retrack it.
They don't need to.
No.
I don't think it has any problems. It doesn't go down for maintenance.
Yeah.
And no one complains.
They could replace the vehicles at some point.
Yeah, they are kind of getting a little rough.
They are. They're getting rough and they're getting old.
And just replace them with the same thing but white.
Or, you know, similar but new, like new update.
Not like just orange.
Yeah.
The way it is.
But I think again, it's you overhaul the land with a aesthetic in mind. It's very similar to what they did with Epcot, where you create a design language, you create an aesthetic, and you commit to it at multiple steps, multiple attractions, because it creates an overall vibe, an overall feeling of you're in a particular place in an imaginary future. Like if you're committing to retro, you're committing to retro. If you're committing to half retro futurism, half actual futurism, you do that.
Tomorrowland Theater.
Yeah.
I know you don't actually know for sure anything.
But I don't believe it stays because it's not usable infrastructure
So
anymore.
it's getting ripped out.
It's getting ripped out. There's nothing
Whether
to do
they
there.
put anything there or not, it's getting torn down.
Yeah.
And they'll fix the Space Mountain queue.
Yeah.
Okay. Really nitty gritty. But the Space Mountain queue split is really bad.
Yeah.
And there is no cast member there anymore, which is also weird. It feels very like unsupervised.
Well, if you remember back in the day, it used to be that you took the
left or right.
Well, and you took the escalators up in the middle.
That too.
That's the type of interesting thing where I'm like, what if we really think radical? What if they actually move the entrance back or they change the entrance entirely? When I was talking to Tim Delaney back in the day, Tim Delaney in 2005 actually pitched a version of Space Mountain that was going to have the Paris-style track in the Space Mountain here in California. He figured out, I can actually fit this in here, which is insane. Probably by going further underground or something like that. But he figured out, I can do this. And you were actually going to load where the Starcade is, go out into the land, and then go on a lift hill that, would launch you up into the mountain. So it's like they've planned out ideas of how you would change where the entrance is. So I think it's entirely possible the entrance does not stay where it is.
And they're moving the Tiana's entrance. So
yeah.
Wait, are they moving it?
They're moving it because it used to be that you would that whole pathway where you used to cross the bridge and then you go up behind the Briar Patch store doesn't exist anymore. That's gone because they demoed so much of that space going back to create more queue for Tiana's.
So, okay. Space Mountain.
You're at the Tomorrowland?
Innovations.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That's the expansion plot for Tomorrowland. Like, they can either not touch that for a long period of time or you're adding your new attraction.
What do you think they will say at D23 about the Innovations building?
I don't think it gets a drop. I don't think you get anything.
He just doesn't. Unmentioned. Okay. Autopia, they'll reiterate and have some really blurry
We're
cars.
committed. Yeah.
They'll put a Honda logo.
Yeah, Honda logo.
Honda believes in the
concept of the
sustainability
cars,
of the future.
Because you will announce all that stuff because it's happening now.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to happen.
And people already, they have announced it.
You already they announced it through the LA Times. They committed to it.
Galactic Grill, Buzz. Probably won't say anything.
I think they do.
Yeah?
I think it's that soon. I think that's happening the same time as Autopia.
They're really letting Buzz fall apart.
Yeah.
Like,
it's broken a lot now.
And the vehicles are just trashed.
Destroyed. Because it's all going to get replaced. That whole thing's going to get gutted and replaced.
Okay.
It's still going to be an Omnimover, still going to use the same base Omnimover system, new vehicles entirely.
Okay. Will it still be Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters?
I don't know. I really don't know right now.
They got.
I would like.
I feel like they wish they had already released Elio.
Yeah,
they would do it, man. Aliens and it's a non-violent movie though.
As far as we're aware,
the thing with Astro Blasters is you're in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like Zurg is a toy.
I just had a thought. Tron.
I said Tron. You're like, no, Tron's gonna be big.
No, but like. What if it is? It's Tron is Astro Blasters. Well, it's space paranoids.
But that's a tank,
Yeah. And now you're in the... There's a way of making it work.
We're going to get the Buzz vehicles from Walt Disney World.
No,
the stationary.
No, you're still going to get the modern ones that they have, the new blasters and everything. But, okay, you do Tron there. And then your end of the line thing is where Galactic Grill is now.
I think I pitched Galactic Girl as End of Line Club.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's been a thing because you already have the stage. You can already do a stage show.
Hold on.
I don't know if we did a Tron-based episode once.
No. I did Tron's Tomorrowland, the entirety of Tomorrowland. I have episode 117, I think. No, that was too long ago. Hold on. Tron's Tomorrowland, 159. Yeah. I remember because you can actually go to trammin.com/ I think it's just 159. And there are the screenshots from the movie.
Yeah.
So people know what I'm talking about. So let's see. Yeah, I have it all here.
Oh
okay.
My God.
Entrance to the grid. Yep. Okay. Caster's Blasters.
Caster's Blasters. Is that the Astro Blasters replacement? Oh my God.
So you get his little cane.
Man,
you shoot identity discs of different colors, OLED screens. So like all the discs are OLEDs. Caster can be Zurg. They're not going to do Daft Punk, but they could be there, right? You rack up
that ride though, just blasting the Daft Punk score while you go through would be so good.
And then you rack up points on your own identity disc, a la Datapad.
Oh my God!
And then store command would be reconfigured so you can exit straight to Galactic Girl from the inside. Galactic Girl is now End of Line Club.
Yep.
No alcohol, so we get Coke freestyle machines, finger food, DJs or cool bands. And a David Bowie cover band instead of Elvis, but the singer is dressed like Caster.
My God. There you go.
They listened.
That's the plan. Yeah.
Listen, dude. If that happens,
we're calling it now.
Yeah.
We're calling it now. That feels so plausible to me. and feels like that would actually like work in Tomorrowland. Like that's great. I would love that, because I don't know. It's one of those things that's just like you hear rumblings that makes me like, and that's what I'm talking about of like what's real is I can feel that it's going to happen based off of what I have heard. But what I have heard is not concrete. What I have heard is not sure. Like again, back in 2022, I was told that we're getting like the People Mover isn't coming back, but we're putting light cycles on the People Mover track. This isn't Tron Light Cycle Run, but we're going to put light cycles up on the track. We're going to do something like that. I still think that's entirely plausible as something that they'll do, but we don't know what it's going to look like until they announce it. It's just that they will announce something, that something is happening in Tomorrowland. That's what this is all about, is those rumblings, those rumors. It's coming again, and it happens every D23 Expo. We think it's going to happen. It's going to be this time for sure. And, I hate being in that position where it's like, I know I've been burned before and I'll be burned again, but this time I really feel like it, And not just because I've heard people talk. It's like, that's the difference, I think, is like in the past, it's like, sure, it's going to happen. But like, it's not real until it's real.
Yeah. And their big thing that you mentioned on Twitter was they got to just, theoretically, they're going to finish up Tiana's, Critter Country, Haunted Mansion.
Yes.
Pirates is all good to go.
Mm-hmm.
They fixed the queue, which is not, they took some trees out of it, whatever.
Yeah.
It has no problems.
Mm-hmm.
They constantly fix the animatronics.
Yeah.
Which they're not changing those, right?
No.
Winnie the Pooh is fine. I mean, could be cooler, but maybe they got a little paint job. Who knows? Clean up the Heffalump Galaxy's Edge, not touching for now.
No.
They're gonna just wait for the next phase of Star Wars, I feel, to do anything else. Fantasyland is all good to go. Fantasyland Theater is a little dead, but putting a new show there is fine. I don't think they'll rip it out yet. I think that's a way future consideration.
Way future when you need the land. Because that originally, and there were rumblings of this for a long time, that Frozen's going to go there. Frozen's going to go somewhere here in Fantasyland to be an expansion. They're thinking bigger than that now. And that's, I think, where we can kind of start spinning into the rest of the speculation and the rest of the potential rumors for everything. And I don't know if you want to get into Disneyland Forward yet, or
that's what I was kind of hinting at with because they want to move on. But before we move on there, I had the funniest name for Alien Pizza Planet.
What?
Alan's Pizza Planet.
Hey. All right. Man, we're really referencing this Tron episode. We got to go.
I gotta re-listen to the Tron episode was just for me to just do it once and for all.
Yeah.
I don't think it even performed well.
No.
But the point, I was sneaky with this. Mm-hmm. It was the opening week of Tron Light Cycle Run, and I called it Tron's Tomorrowland.
Nice.
And I don't think it did well at all, but there's a companion webpage. It's trammin.com/Tron159. All the Instagram posts were everything. And I went through literally the entirety of Tomorrowland, even so far as encasing it in like a translucent covering.
Dome, yeah.
Not like dome, just like almost like the main street in Tokyo.
Oh yeah,
but translucent with like fake circuitry.
You make it an actual what the Europeans would call an arcade.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the irony of that is so good.
And a people mover, but they bring back the old style, but they look like the recognizers.
Yeah. Now I'm getting into it because I would love them to build a recognizer physically in reality, and that's your entryway to the ride. How can you not have that? How does that not already exist?
The entry was gonna be like these. Dude, these are the two buildings.
Yeah,
and it's right there.
It's there.
It's right there. The entrance to the grid.
Yep.
Caster, all that, and Star Tours was just called Escape from the Grid.
I really
final scene.
Oh my God. I really like the idea of getting Astro Blasters and putting in Tron. I really like that a lot. That would make me happy.
It could be weird. For some reason, Ares has a triangular identity disc.
Yeah.
The circles, the triangles, dude, it's all there. It's all there. Okay.
And it's NCOM when you go in there, and then you get zapped in the queue.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. We've gone really far with that. We can talk.
Dude, yeah, you can be in a vehicle.
Yeah.
And then you get zapped in, and the vehicle lights up.
Oh,
and
man.
UV and
you can make it cool. You can make it, and it would be super efficient. It'd be super good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, they would do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Fantasyland is going to be unchanged for now, which I don't think anyone cares about.
The rest of the park is relatively unchanged. Like the only updates you're doing are iterative.
Yeah, but
with time.
I mean, like, we don't have problems with other things.
No.
The treehouse, good to go. Jungle Cruise, wonderful. Hideaway, wonderful. Maybe the Adventureland bathrooms will be fixed.
One day.
And our shooting exposition is too small to turn into a DVC lounge.
Yay. It stays forever.
Fantasmic, they could just do that whenever they want. And I think my last thing was going to be like, if they wanted to do Fantasyland, they do a Snow White style thing.
Yeah.
I would just fix it up over the summer,
And just iterative little things. But these are all the things that you get as, whatever's happening with Disneyland Forward and these bigger expansions over time, you're always going to have those little things to bring you back to Disneyland.
Disneyland will never be complete.
Yeah.
But it's in a completed state right now.
Yeah.
If they did Tomorrowland or did something to Tomorrowland
it's
not decrepit, they move on to Disneyland Forward.
Yes.
So we have a lot of Disneyland Forward stuff here. We have, I think is the first thing Avatar?
Avatar is what they've talked the most about, they're most excited for. What I originally heard so Avatar has had this whole progression with coming to Disneyland. The original intent, and I believe Alicia Stella is the one who talked about this, Hollywoodland. The original intent was going to be in Hollywoodland. That soundstage that used to be the Superstore was going to be a walkthrough Avatar experience, similar to the episode that you have with Jeff, where he was talking about like,
this is it,
how you make
thing,
movies. It's this whole thing. And that's what they originally intended on doing. And I think definitely Iger got involved and other stuff of saying, no, let's go bigger. And ever since Iger got back, I think that's kind of been the motivation of we have to think bigger. We have to think more investment. We have to spend the money because it turns out the parks business is the thing that's going to keep us alive. So let's actually go all in.
The newer generations love experiences.
Yes.
And they changed the name.
Yeah.
It's not Parks Experiences and Products anymore.
Now it's just Disney Experiences. Is that it? Because now it also includes video games too, because they're doing the whole virtual thing.
They're so weird.
Which they're going to drop. They're going to name drop that at D23, but I don't expect it to be a huge part of the panel.
Yeah, it's just Disney Experiences now.
Yeah,
it's
Disney Experiences.
They merged Disney Consumer Products and Interactive Media to Parks and Resorts, Disney Parks Experience Products, and then it's Disney Experiences. Okay.
There we go.
So
way easier to say too. But like looking at it, I think Avatar, and I originally would have thought Avatar would be in Tomorrowland, like Avatar would be here and there. But Disneyland Forward is one of those things where if you get the blank canvas, you can do anything. So think big. Like do the blue sky thing.
Yeah.
But it's not a blue sky nebulous. And that's, we're going to get into what's happening over in Florida in a second. But I'm like, I said this so much that it's like they're talking blue sky, but they're just being honest with us. But they had intention, and you can just see it because they're going to start construction. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, because they did the second blue sky.
Yeah.
Because it was Beyond Big Thunder, and then everyone clowned on it.
Yeah.
And then they Latin America.
Yeah. But even the concept art, we'll get into that in a second.
But
for Disneyland Forward, it's like, okay, Disneyland Forward has always been very nebulous. And like, what's actually being built here? Are we getting a third gate? Are we getting expansions to each park? And to this day, we still don't know because they haven't clarified it. The one change that happened on the Disneyland Forward website that is still incredible to me is they said these things could possibly coming to California Adventure.
Yeah. So there is the artwork where the parks extend out towards the hotels.
Yes.
But they specifically said they would extend the parks.
Yeah.
And I believe there is a similar thing going on in Shanghai. With like you're still in the weird lands that connect.
That's Tokyo. That's Fantasy Springs.
Maybe I got them confused.
Yeah, because Fantasy Springs and
there's the hotel between lands.
So Fantasy Springs has its own hotel. It has these 3 lands themed to Tangled. It's themed to Neverland and Peter Pan and to Frozen. And they built out, and it's an actual land. Like that was interesting, a reveal of, it was thought, okay, cool, these are each gonna have gift shops and restaurants. No, it's an actual full land. So it's like the restaurant is in this part of the land. And the restrooms, the whole Frozen Village, it's just restrooms here because it's all we have space for. So it's actually a land that is multiple fantasy IPs. It's Fantasyland, but built big with a hotel.
So Andrew went there.
Yeah.
And he said, so there's a hotel with an entrance to the park.
Yeah.
And it's near Disneyland over there. I
Yes,
think.
it's near
But
the
it
Disneyland
doesn't
side.
connect yet.
No.
But it could. I
Mhm.
think, yeah. So Disneyland Forward, yeah, they mentioned or updated whatever that it's California
Adventure, which really makes me believe. First off, like Third Gate is an if, not a when. Like Third Gate is an if at this point. That the Toy Story lot, it's like, do we really do that, or like, do we just commit to that being other?
I think it's
stuff?
a really long when.
Yeah,
I think that is in the Indiana Jones warehouse.
Mm.
You know what I mean? They want to.
Yeah,
they don't want to right now.
No,
but
it makes sense for you to build these additions that are almost self-contained, but are attached to existing infrastructure, to existing ticketing. That this is a California Adventure expansion, but it is its own entity besides that, which is where the original tease for Disneyland Forward had that side of the expansion attached to California Adventure being very adventure heavy. It had a volcano, it had Wakanda, it had Avatar. Who knows what that is, but it's like, it's here. It's this nebulous thing. I mean, yes, it's attached to California Adventure, but it's not California Adventure. So I think it'll be interesting to see how they brand that. I think that's the first part to get built for sure. They've been teasing a lot for Disneyland of teasing Coco, teasing Frozen, teasing Tangled, teasing Avatar. Avatar the hardest. I think Avatar is the first thing. I do feel like they announce that expansion. They say this is the first part of Disneyland Forward here.
You're saying D23.
D23. They're going to show us a piece of concept art, but it's going to be nebulous like Beyond Big Thunder was.
Well, okay. So do you think, though, they have here on their map proposed parking structure?
Yeah.
They want to do that.
The Eastern Gateway is happening.
I bring this up all the time.
Yeah.
This is my crazy, no one cared about Disney back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
No one cared about this type of stuff back in the day, where the Avengers Campus was going to take over Hollywoodland and the bus depot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they are moving the bus depot to the new proposed entrance.
Yeah.
So is this the expansion right now? Are we ignoring this crap right here by the hotels?
I don't think so, because so much other infrastructure like the monorail has to change dramatically.
They were going to move the
that
track
space. Though. Yeah, but
so you think they're gonna,
even then
they're going to do?
I think they do part of it at a time. I think they do the left half. They do the part that's already attached to New Downtown Disney.
Oh, because
that's the whole thing, is that New Downtown Disney already extends out and has its new entryway and all this stuff all extending out to that park side.
So this is Simba, though, right? This volcano.
Yeah.
And that backs up against
Pixar Pier.
And this is the Pixar Place Hotel.
Yes.
So, here's the entrance, I guess.
Which, what if your entryway to this new adventure-themed area is Coco? Because it allows you to connect to Pixar and also the Pixar Hotel. But then it's also in this adventure style to blend into something like Avatar or Wakanda.
Is this a parking structure?
No, that's a show building.
Yeah, that's.
But again, the concept art is very nebulous.
I know.
You can't take it off of that thing.
It's not going to be this.
No.
But like, all we know is they're thinking about things, right?
Yeah.
So their original idea, because it's DisneylandForward.com, and you go to possibilities. It's not a plan. However, it's more than just like throw some art there.
No.
There was, dude, that's a lot of intention.
Yeah.
Like, a show building for a ride. What ride? No idea.
Well, and they started doing with the city, like estimates on how many how many different versions of attractions they can fit in this property.
Yeah. And they're like, here's a path from.
They talk about the height of buildings that would be, what is the size of a weenie, like a castle or, this and that. What can we fit in there?
Yeah. Like this is the edge of California Screamin'. And
Credit Coaster. Yeah.
I don't do that one on purpose.
So
it's just what comes to my mind. A pathway through a show building, which again doesn't have to be
underneath, like
through a themed tunnel into this nature area with a Rivers of America. Shout out to River and James, and the Pixar Place Hotel kind of having an entrance through whatever that is.
Well, the hotel is over further to the right. It's not necessarily attached to the park.
This is the hotel.
That's the hotel.
Yeah, this is something.
That's a different building.
Yeah, okay. and then just a little water themed land. I think they're trying to get some Disney Sea hype over here.
For sure. That's kind of the scale that they're going for. And really what I'd think of is Moana. Like, I think you have Moana 2 that's coming out this year. You have Moana live action that's already started.
Next to the Pixar Hotel.
No, but like, you have to think of it as like,
This isn't-
when you're in
this
this
isn't the Way of
expansion,
Water?
you're not going to see, it could be,
Yeah.
again, but it's like, think of whatever's in this expansion, you're not going to see the Pixar Place Hotel when you're in there.
Are they? We're just looking at scale here.
Yeah.
Are they digging?
I don't know.
That's
if they-
ridiculous. Yeah.
no, I don't think you're
Yeah,
doing
there's
that.
sewage. You
I
can't.
think you build up higher.
But the sightlines.
Yeah, I think no matter what, though, when you're in the land, you're not going to see out of it. Like, they're going to build it so insulated. And part of that, too, is the noise, because you're building so close to residential that you can't be allowed to hear the inside of the park from there.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things being
what?
considered here. But
I
it's
know it's nothing, but this is a very interesting little
it's
rotunda
it's
building
weird.
here.
They got some weird stuff in there that they throw
Okay,
in.
here's
I don't
what it
wanna
is.
look
This
too
is
deep.
nothing, but to the Imagineer who drew it, it is something.
Yeah.
They knew, like, I want this stupid building. They don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but
But also, you can. The thing I like looking at more is the layout. Which, don't look at that. Like, don't look at the concept art. Look at the layout. Which might
down
be
here.
further down.
it's here.
There you go. And when you zoom in there, that's when you can see like the Wakanda Rockwork building, which, from what I was told, was originally a Wakanda Pavilion pitch for Epcot that like somebody drew up. Like, it's just like, that's a thing that's in a file.
This or
It's right there. You can actually see
I've seen
the
it.
head of the panther there. I
Oh,
posted that on social media a while too. That was one of my hit tweets, which was fun. But yeah, there's that. And then you can actually see Pandora, which that's why you can't take this too seriously, because it has literal Pandora from Florida just slapped in there because we can fit that in here.
yeah.
That's not actually happening. No, they're building an entirely new thing. And back to talking about
Here's that
Avatar.
entrance, yeah. And this is this Magic Way? No, this is Walnut.
That is Magic Way.
No,
Walnut's
Magic Way's here. Oh, Walnut's on the outside.
other side. Yeah, yeah.
This is
Disneyland Way or Disney Way.
Disney. Oh, it's Disneyland Drive.
Disneyland Drive. Yeah.
They go over it
They go over it, under it, around it.
because they didn't get any approval to mess with Disneyland Drive.
No, but they're going to. They already said that they would have ways of getting from one to the park to the other side, and that would be either pathways, bridges. I think they proposed, was it 3 or 4 bridges over Disneyland Drive? They actually like told the city this is how many bridges we're thinking it's going to take, and that's where this starts going from. Maybe they don't do this to like, no, they're very sure about we're building expansion here. So I think you get Fantasy Springs sized expansions on either side of downtown Disney that are their own like existing things, but there is some type of feeling, some type of aesthetic that combines them all together. The same way Fantasy Springs is tied together through Art Nouveau and the idea of fantasy, you will have that type of a thing for one of these 2 expansions. So I think one is adventure attached to California Adventure, and the other one is going to be fantasy attached to Disneyland. And I think that's what you're getting. So I think that on the Disneyland side, and I did hear this from someone that they are very much considering porting over Tangled and Frozen from Fantasy Springs. Like, that version is what they took, the city council, they took people from the commission here in Anaheim to Tokyo to experience Fantasy Springs and show them those specifically.
And that's for which park?
Disneyland, on the Disneyland side.
Yeah. So, and
Like-
that would be that. What's all this? This
Yeah.
This is all new.
Mhm.
So we're just gonna get a bunch of bridges.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which part of the whole retrofit of Critter Country is that's the pathway from Disneyland to the back where you would have a connection across Disneyland Drive. So the whole widening of the walkway in Critter Country, the whole refit of that entire area, demoing it to dirt to redo it is not just the Tiana's queue.
So
not
you're
just
saying
that.
okay? Is this the gated off area where the little what I call the Trammin studio loft is, or the
Maybe,
dead
yeah.
end?
No, I think it's one or the other.
Like, we're busting through that dead end.
Yeah, we're going
to
across.
more
We're going to go
Disneyland.
along the side of the Tiana's show building, and we're going to go through this, Bayou Magic pathway, and that Bayou Magic is going to take us right along over to New Fantasyland, massive expansion.
Yeah, they would definitely have to. Man, what would the name be?
Who knows?
Yeah, because it can't be fantasy
It
because you're
can't
too
be
far.
Fantasy Spring. Yeah, it's something new. It's something entirely new. But I did hear, okay, it's going to be Frozen, Tangled. We're thinking about porting those directly. And it's down such a timeline that, it might not even be the exact same rides by that time. But it's those two IP specifically, we're committing those. Neverland.
So we're getting Tangled too, aren't we?
I don't know. I don't know about that one yet. Neverland is the one that they already were like, Tokyo Oriental Land Company was committed. We're doing Neverland. We're doing Peter Pan in grand scale.
Peter Pan's big over there.
It is. Here in the U.S., it's big, but you already have the Peter Pan's flight attractions. You're fine with them. And they don't want to get too close because of the Native American representation in those films. You go back and you watch it now, it's very, very dated. In fact, that right now they are closing Peter Pan's flight over in Magic Kingdom, potentially to retrofit it to change the representation in the attraction. Whereas in Tokyo, it's like they have representation of the Native Americans in the ride, and they also have the village that you can see up on the side. Like, they built it there. I mean, they don't play the song from the movie, but they definitely reference them specifically. It's like it's there. So it's one of those things, they just don't want to get near that. We're not even going to get near that. So if they did say port Fantasy Springs over, it's like part of Fantasy Springs, but then the other part is, okay, their Frozen Land is not really fully built over in Tokyo, whereas they could build out the village side to be the village side from the Hong Kong expansion.
The village side from the
So like the village in Hong Kong has like a quick service restaurant and a store and some other stuff.
They had it here.
Yep. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is why I got confused, because this looks a lot like Fantasy Springs.
It's not, though. That's the Hong Kong expansion. You can't physically go to the castle in the Hong Kong expansion. The castle is a sit-down restaurant or it's a kind of quick service hybrid at Fantasy Springs.
They've called out Tangled.
Yeah,
I know it's because it's in the other lands, but they
call out Peter Pan, but it's just because it's something that we've done. Yeah. I don't believe you're going to get the Peter Pan experience and attraction. Specifically, you're not going to get the Peter Pan attraction because I believe that ride system is the Avengers ride that we're getting.
Is Jock Lindsay?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's what they're referencing for the other resort, the other side of the resort.
So, okay. We'll get two things. These are turnstiles.
This is actually very similar to the building on the right. Its positioning is very accurate to what has been built in new downtown Disney.
What?
Like the Parkside Market, and then that's going to be the thing there. That's where that is.
Oh, this is... Hold on. They give a legend. Purple. Retail, dining, and entertainment. Okay. So wait, this thing?
Yeah. And then Din Tai Fung is right there.
Uh-huh. But the stage would be in between.
The stage would be like right here, yeah.
Okay. But
it's not, this is not accurate to what happened in downtown Disney.
Yeah, the positioning, now Simba's there.
Yeah.
And that's the pedestrian entrance to downtown Disney.
Yeah.
So, but
because the entrance and exit for like this whole Wakanda area, whatever it is, this space, I don't believe that that's going to end up being park. I think the entryway is going to be right there.
Okay, so
between the Disneyland Hotel and
so Disneyland Hotel will not be inside of the park, but it can touch it a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. The park purists will be mad.
Yeah.
But Tangled, Frozen, whatever.
Yeah.
Is that just Discoveryland because we got the tower?
I don't know. Maybe.
It's those two movies about discovering yourself.
Yeah, maybe.
They won't need to justify it.
No.
But will they just call it that?
Discoveryland. Maybe not.
Or Discovery Springs.
Discovery something, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. Discoveryland would work just because it's tying into the lands of Disneyland, but they've already broken that trend. It's like you've already broken that with Galaxy's Edge. Like, you don't need that.
But their whole thing is, it's another planet. It doesn't matter.
But they're going to treat this like that. Because it becomes similar to how Fantasy Springs is, where it's basically a separate ticket.
Land of Discovery.
Worlds of Discovery.
Yeah,
whatever
like
you want to
some BS.
Worlds of Adventure in Disneyland Paris. We're going to get there too. But in the end, that's what I think it is. I think it really is a fantasy split and an adventure split, and we're going to announce the adventure side first because we need something for California Adventure.
So we're going to somehow eat up some parking lots.
Yeah, because we're building a huge Eastern Gateway parking structure.
Where is hotel parking going to go?
Hotel parking is still here. It's right there.
Oh, right. That's
They
an
built-
underground.
They have a structure.
I
Yeah.
forget that. Disneyland Hotel has an
Uh-huh.
underground structure.
Yeah. No, they'll have the parking.
And Pixar, they're going to leave the structure. that's
structure
over
there,
It's
yeah.
right behind it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So Trader Sam's parking will be a little tougher. They might be
Probably.
like,
Yeah. Go to the giant parking structure we designed over here. You just,
Yeah.
like go there. I think that okay, this is one of those things that's it's further down the line.
Yeah,
it's
I
end
don't
of the
think-
decade stuff for at least the first Disneyland Forward expansion. But they will name drop Disneyland Forward and they will show us new concept art. And specifically involving Avatar and whatever other two or three IPs they put into the specific expansion connected to California Adventure, because that's what's first.
so you think
Because California Adventure is the place that needs the more capacity. It needs the room. It needs its own Galaxy's Edge.
they will expand out towards the hotels before expanding out towards the bus depot? I really think that parking structure's next.
The parking structure has to happen first, though, in order for you to expand out
Yeah.
into the Hollywood land.
But they want to do the parking structure.
Yes, they will do it.
They told Anaheim, like,
And that's
we're going to
happening.
modify the I-5
Yeah.
freeway.
That's happening near term too.
Yeah.
Like that's happening now because they need that for the resort. Two things for California Adventure, like outside of Disneyland Forward, that Avengers E-ticket's happening like near term. Like when I was right before leaving Disney, I was being told that, okay, grad night's happening. Grad night security is moving to the Disney, the Mickey and Friends parking structure and stuff. For those who don't know, grad night, normally they pull up your buses behind California Adventure, behind where Avengers Campus is today.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you go through security and then you pop out near the little gate that's by Cars Land, in between Cars Land and Avengers Campus. Sometimes they do it on the other side by where Guardians is. But that's kind of like the main thing is we drop you off here and then you go into the park. They're not doing that this year. They didn't do that this year. And what I was told is because the the parking lot behind Avengers Campus is otherwise occupied. At the same time, I was told the cast members at Racers were seeing before, early in the morning, height check balloons. Why? Because they're building a big old show building there. So I've been like getting rumblings back then, and I can't, I'm not going back there now. I can't see that. I can't validate that they already have started digging or something like that. Like you can't see that. And there's no point in the park where you can see that. So it means they can do base level work there and no one would know for a long period of time.
Yeah, like none of those webcams can see it and all that.
Nothing gets an eye back there. Even you go to the top of the Ferris wheel, you're not going to get a view. So in the end, like I think e-ticket is very much, we're starting now. We're starting construction now because that is from ground up going to take a while.
Yeah. There's something I never noticed before. We're talking about sightlines. There's Tower of Terror or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just a power line there.
Yeah, it's just there.
But from the ground level.
Mm-hmm.
That's what was weird to me.
Yeah.
Screaming, Incredicoaster. I get it. You're just up there, dude. Like you're gonna see stuff. But that was crazy to me. But anyways.
But also it's a power line and you're in Industrial Avengers Campus. So it doesn't. Yeah. Well, it's semantics.
Avengers Campus. So they're gonna announce
They have
to.
Because they're also starting filming next year of Avengers 5.
Oh.
So you get all the actors together so you can film them for the ride.
Right. That's how they do it.
Bingo.
I think that's what
The delays with
Star Tours.
Yeah.
They filmed Ahsoka and then they're like,
Yeah.
you're in the makeup. Can you just move
come
your
over
arms?
here. Yeah.
I
You just
hate
come in
I
for
hate
one
the way
day.
she moves her arms. Have you seen it?
I haven't been
She
on
just
since.
kind of like does like this weird
my God.
like Dave and Buster's pod racing,
Lovely.
and I'm like, you're a better actor than this, but they probably had you do one take,
Yeah.
and no one notices except me, so go for it.
But that's I think that's the thing is Avengers and it's the e-ticket at this point, so such old news, and that's what sucks is it's like this whole thing that should be hugely impressive and successful is kind of just like okay, but they have to do it, they have to build it.
Yeah.
So I do think that is going to be under construction soon. The other project for DCA, like the thing that I'm thinking is going to happen, and it's a question of okay. Coco is going to arrive. Is Coco part of Disneyland Forward, or is Coco in California Adventure proper? What happens to Hollywoodland? That's the big question mark. What do you put in Hollywoodland? One of the rumors that's going around now has been Zootopia.
But we don't care about it.
No, we don't. It doesn't fit the market, but they kept talking about it in Disneyland Forward and kept bringing it up. Now, is that just because it's the new modern big expansion over in Shanghai, and so we can say, look at this big fancy thing, we could bring that here? The other part is it's a trackless ride that is very much just Rise of the Resistance. Like it's one of those things that's like
it's Mickey and Minnie's. It has the same. It has Mickey and Minnie in the car, but it's a little bit different. You go into your little ports, and then you back out,
and then you go. Yeah,
I think it's the same. I do think it's the same programming.
Yeah. I don't. It's one of those things that I'm like, I don't see that happening either. But
we're not going to get the police ride in California Adventure.
But thematically, going from Hollywoodland to Zootopia works more than
they put a bunch of dumb facades on the sound stages, and they're sound stages.
Yeah.
What's crazy is I think they are actually sound stages.
Now
with the foam and everything.
Now here's the thing, though. That's a lot of changing and messing with the existing park, where you can just leave that for now. We can build our brand new parking structure. We can even keep the buses here in the center for now. We don't have to mess with it. Because over on the other side, we're doing Disneyland Forward stuff. We're building on new land where we can have brand new infrastructure. But when we're done with that, in 30 years, we know we can come right back over here to Hollywoodland and build something new.
Like, they'll have so much capacity.
But just think of Hollywoodland becomes the new Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland's capped off and done. Hollywoodland is going to be the only thing that it's like, you know what, there's only one part of the park that's kind of weak, and it's right here.
And if they move the buses and open up a bunch of stuff, they can just rope off Hollywoodland, and they could demolish it to the ground.
Yes.
And then they have their new land again.
They have new land again.
They could, but at that point, they can move the monorail.
And this is the thing that it allows them also to just keep pushing back that third gate. Just keep pushing it back because you don't need it yet.
Okay. The reason I don't pine for the third gate is one, they need an Epic Universe style thing where it's not just copy pasted IP everywhere. And two, something I notice now after going to Walt Disney World is the reason Disneyland Resort is better, like straight up, is we squeeze everything into every little inch we can squeeze it into. And like they make every inch count because they have to.
Yeah.
Right? Third gate, they'll never touch anything else.
No.
Right? If they just decided to throw everything in a new park, Hollywoodland would just stay.
Yeah.
Tomorrowland, it's fine. No one's going to stop going to Disneyland.
Yeah.
Right? It's not going to cannibalize. The thing with the third gate wouldn't cannibalize. It would add an extra day to everyone's trip.
Yes.
Here. Because some people go to Universal.
But I think that's exactly what they think about Disneyland Forward. That they think about there's so much.
Like they can already do it.
Already, the trip to Disneyland is basically 3 days.
Yeah.
It's 2 days at Disneyland, 1 day to California Adventure, because there's enough things to do that you can't do it all in 1 day. You really can't. Like if you're
flying here and staying in a hotel, like you want to, you'll do the 3 days and enjoy.
And
yourself.
I mean everything. Like see every show. Like see Fantasmic and the fireworks. See this and that, and get on every single ride
and do your favorite twice. You know,
exactly. And that's where a Disneyland Forward expansion just can add. Like DCA has the potential of having 2 days when you add an expansion with 3 new, e-tickets or whatever to it. It's that whole thing that like that feels like the possibility. But again, is also down the road. Like we have, like I really do think that it's like you're going to see a new Tomorrowland, and you're going to see Avengers Campus's e-ticket before we even see the construction of Disneyland Forward proper. But all the enhancements around the resort, all the brand new infrastructure, that's going to start happening now, because they have to start building that now for them to start building Disneyland Forward, after 5 years. So including that, it's like, okay, cool. New parking structure, new this, new that. They literally teased, we could be getting a people mover at the Disneyland Resort or a Skyliner at the Disneyland Resort as inter-resort transportation, connecting the whatever happens in Toy Story lot to the new parking structure and the main resort. Like that's where it's like people mover might not be coming back, but people mover could come back to the resort as a mode of transportation.
Yeah,
they're not expanding the monorail. They're not adding new monorail routes.
No, because we talked about it here, why there isn't a stop in the Grand Californian. It would stop every 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's too short.
Yeah. Like I only had that answer when you gave me the actual ride times, which I could have timed, I know. But like you said it's 5 minutes one way, 2.5 the other. It's like, yeah, you can't put another stop. They're all just going to constantly be loading.
Yep.
So
I actually did a pitch, and this is on my on Imagine Tomorrow, my old podcast, where I was like, what if we got rid of the monorail? Like, sacrilege, I know, and replaced it with the People Mover, because you could add a Stark station. You could add a stop here and a stop there, because it's a People Mover. It's continuously loading, it's continuously moving, and it could fit within the pathway of the monorail.
Yeah.
And that was a pitch I did. But now it's like, you keep the monorail because it's iconic and you built it into everything. And then you add a People Mover that goes between parts of the resort because you can.
I don't think we're going to get a Skyliner.
No.
I don't think anyone wants to see that. No one wants to build that.
No.
And I think overall success. But Disney's got a lot of problems with that thing.
Yeah.
Where a People Mover, airports have them.
Yeah.
The monorail is a People Mover.
LAX is about to open one. There you go.
It's just a car on a track.
Simple.
It's
easy.
not that hard. I don't think anyone's going to care about there being tracks and pylons in Anaheim. Like, it's not really a big deal.
And normally people wouldn't care. Okay, here's our mode of transportation. But you call it the People Mover and people care.
And yeah, and they'll just call it the Disneyland People Mover instead of the Tomorrowland People Mover. And it works.
Oh.
So...
But that's one of the things of don't count out the People Mover just yet, but it's not going to be the People Mover you want.
Yeah.
That's not happening at Tomorrowland. Even if they reuse the tracks, it's going to be something else.
Okay, so the Freddy definitive.
Yeah.
Definitively, Tomorrowland People Mover not happening.
No.
Yeah, the average person doesn't care.
No.
The thing is, if they put it, it would eat up the crowds. People would just ride it because it's a ride to ride.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't get people to go to Disneyland.
No.
That's all everything is now. Everything you hear, every fest, every booth, every foodie guide is, hey, maybe you should come back. And it works.
Yeah.
But new rides are the biggest thing. I was kind of complaining, why is there always new construction? And it's that's what gets travelers to go back to theme parks. It's why people this year were not as hot on Oogie Boogie. What's new?
Yeah.
Nothing. So, Walt Disney World right now has attendance issues. Cosmic Rewind was the new thing. No one cares about the new stuff at Epcot.
Yeah.
Is that it? They don't have anything, do they?
The
past year or two.
Yeah, no, not yet.
Cosmic Rewind was 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And
and they've been opening here's the plaza, here's this, here's Communicore Hall.
Yeah, but that's not traveler stuff.
No.
Tron was last year,
mm-hmm.
if not a little longer.
Well, we're about to talk about what's going on with Disney World. So it's we've kind of covered Disneyland here. Again, I think we get Disneyland Forward name drop. It's a huge year for Disneyland in terms of stuff. Near term, you're going to see a lot of stuff. Changes to Tomorrowland, you're going to see changes. You're going to see the Avengers e-ticket, really actually happening. We get the full reveal on what we're doing there. We already revealed the ride vehicle, so now it's show sequence. And we're starting, and we've already started construction. That's what I want them to do, is be able to show, look, here's the dirt lot. It's under construction right now. It's coming soon. Because the Avengers e-ticket needs to open soon after Secret Wars, or right around the LA Olympics in 2028. The Olympics in 2028 is where you want all your projects done. Because even anything from now till then, you're going to be fighting against city projects in terms of contracting, which is why you start hearing rumblings from Five Fires of construction contractors getting picked up for projects at Disneyland. Because we need to lock you in.
Also, I made this joke to Jeff and all of you guys. I would not be surprised if the construction rumors are retiling the Autopia bathroom.
Oh my God. It could be anything.
Not that, but that's the thing. Rain gets the bids sometimes.
Yeah.
Because even though he doesn't do construction, any vendors they have get the email. Because they're hey, do you do this?
Yeah.
You want to put a bid in?
Yeah.
They don't care, right?
No.
They see a price and that you could do it. You're licensed.
Yeah.
Sure, man. New hotel entrance to the park. And it was a hole in a fence in DCA for Pixar Fest.
Yeah.
Right. And we thought there was going to be another bridge to Grand Californian, something grand. No, you go around a zigzag corner and you're at Pixar Place. So construction bids.
I think more what this whole thing is that everyone in the rumor community started hearing things.
Yeah.
And that's why it's now it's a talk. Now it's a conversation because people start hearing the rumblings. And this is more people hearing the rumblings than the last time.
Yeah. And the way this stuff works is sometimes someone hears a rumor.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just all right. And then they heard that someone else heard the rumor from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And they go, I also heard this. And then someone else goes, I'm more comfortable now that two people, I heard this too.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, either one person is talking to everyone or they've heard it from a couple people. It's going
Independent
around.
sources,
It's
yeah.
being leaked on purpose. That happens too.
Happens all the time.
Like not here, but like straight up. Let's say we, let's say we were more popular. We were on Disney's radar.
Yeah.
We're one blip on their radar.
Yeah.
I guarantee they've listened to one episode.
Yeah.
Because anyone who's putting out Disney stuff, they're just like, who is this person?
Yeah.
For sure.
They just want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's just the Trammin.
You
guys.
talking trash? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. Do you have some weird insider source? It's like, no, not really.
Yeah.
But companies all the time intentionally leak things, and then they go listen to the little podcast or little post. How do people feel about this?
Mm-hmm.
And then they, all right, let's do it.
Did that work? Was it good? Yeah.
But anyways, my last thing. Okay. Are we kicking Avatar down the road?
Avatar is down the road.
Yeah. Are we going to get another piece of art, or are they just putting it up again?
I think you get a new piece of art because you get Avatar plus the other things coming to Disneyland Forward. You get a very speculative view of way more like, this is our intention with Disneyland Forward. This is what it could look like. This is what we're thinking about building here. And this is like...
Do you think this time they won't put it in places? Like, they messed up with the Big Thunder thing. Do you think if we get a screenshot of Avatar, there won't be like, it's going to be here? You know how Disneyland Forward has like, Wakanda's here. People are like, Wakanda's going to go there.
I think that they are actually going to do more of that layout type of a thing because they need to show multiple things and they need to show where it's going. Like, I feel like they are like, no, we're actually going to do that. And it's possible that they don't, and they do just show us a new, image of Pandora and a new image of, whatever it is that they're going to build, and they are very nebulous about it. But I do think that an overall, like, high view of what's going on is kind of what they're thinking about, because they really want to show this is the scale of investment. We want to hit you over the head that we're going to spend money now, and we're ambitious.
Yeah, they 10 billion, right? And they've upped it. 10 billion over the next. What was it? And like 10.
So, and they only committed to the city of like 2 billion, like, but in like the short term, like,
because they get a tax break of 200 million or
if they do
20
something.
million.
Yeah. And that's the thing though, of like, everything can be a part of Disneyland Forward as long as it's capacity expanding.
Oh, that's the thing.
I'm sure that's how they're thinking of it. But they also don't want to lock themselves into $10 billion or something like that. It's like they'll do that, but they just don't want to right now.
So
yeah, Avatar's kicked down the road. Part of the reason too is that the Avatar movie series isn't done yet.
Yeah, we got so many.
They have more. They want to be able to build a Pandora that is definitive. They don't want to build one and then have the next movie come out and have it be like, we have the Water Tribe, and then in the next movie we burn the Water Tribe down. Like, it's like you don't want to accidentally lock your movie into a period of time or lock your land.
Yeah,
in there.
you wouldn't want to do that.
No. Or you end up like Galaxy's Edge.
Speaking of,
yeah,
will we get the new Smuggler's Run announced, because we're coming up on 5 years next year? Are they gonna be like,
we already have 5 years. Five years was this year.
Oh, it's 2019. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So are they gonna go, it's been 5 years, here's some nothing?
Nothing. You get nothing.
Damn.
I don't think they do that yet. I think that they will announce something like that at a Star Wars celebration in the future.
Okay.
But I don't even think that that's a near-term thing, because they have other things to worry about.
That's not a thing. It's not a big deal.
I think that falls under the iterative updates, the things that get dropped. The thing that has surprised me throughout this whole process is there have been announcements over and over again on the Parks blog that I'm like, you would save that for a D23 where you get a crowd reaction. Nope. They're dropping it now. And it was relatively big news, like about the cruise ships or this or that or this expansion. It's like, interesting. You know what or like the YouTube series that they did recently with Tiana's. It's like there's stuff in there that they even talked a little bit about Tropical Americas in there, because they're really trying to, and we're going to transition into stuff like that. They're really solidifying these things that we were talking about that we're kind of just, going over a little bit. They're real. They're happening. We're designing them. We're building it.
So Walt Disney Imagineering, a couple months ago, this is what I'm saying. Scott Gustin tweeted this on April 4th. 3D models.
Yeah.
Like physical of Tropical Americas. I didn't hear anyone say anything.
Well, this was actually a screenshot from the video that Imagineering released. That we call it Imagineering, and they were showing off. And this might have been the Instagram post because they on Instagram they posted this.
He said during a visit to WDI, Imagineering showed us some new concept art that reflects the archway shown in the first photo. We also saw some new concept art of the carousel plan for the land.
That got leaked to the art of the art of the carousel and the art of the archway got leaked.
The concept
later.
art was not shared today, but more will be revealed at D23 in August.
Now the carousel concept art showed. So the original rumor for this was that Coco was going to be the carousel in there, and now it's the carousel is other Disney characters, but in the style of Latin America.
That's cool.
So think of how when you go to Animal Kingdom, things are thematically appropriate to where they are. Like you go to Harambe and like things like fit into that world. Think of it as like when you visit somewhere in South America and you go and there's a fair and there's like a, something that is Disney, but it's not. Like it's referencing, it's one of those things where it's like, no, they're going to make it like it is the Disney character, but it's like a piece of art. Like it's fitting into the world that it is in. Because this is actually a carousel that's part of this village.
Okay. So
it'll be interesting to see how they do this, but like they're trying to follow through, and this is where
like Disney, the characters of Disney exist in some lore in this village.
No, like legitimately, like some craftsman was like, I'm making this carousel, and I'm making this a Disney character.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm carving it, like,
Oh, wait. Okay, we're still in the world of like...
We're in our world.
Oh, like Harambe.
Yeah.
This isn't Harambe.
This isn't Harambe, but it's in...
Like, the village of Harambe is real.
Yeah.
We have a festival of the Lion King.
Exactly.
Okay,
following through with the spirit of Animal Kingdom, which... speaking of Animal Kingdom, Joe Rohde going to WDI, posting on social media, being there, giving a presentation.
Yeah, I don't think we actually mentioned...
Him going on tour to Disney World with Imagineering. He is 100. If it's not official that he's like consulting on this project, he's involved in some way. He's giving feedback, even if it's not all being taken. He's a participant of making sure the spirit of Animal Kingdom is continued in this project. Which,
because he got pissed about Zootopia.
Yes, and Zootopia is not happening, and Zootopia is not popular enough in the States anyway.
But wait, but they're still shoving it under the tree, right?
Yes, but that's more because they need to replace Bug's Life because it's just aged so much. It's not relevant now. And they see Zootopia not as relevant enough for putting an e-ticket in the States, but relevant enough that it needs to go somewhere because the Zootopia 2 is going to happen. Yeah.
I think we forgot to mention that we're moving over to Animal Kingdom in Florida.
Yeah, it was a pretty relatively good transition.
Yeah, no, the transition was good. I think we just started talking about it. I'm like, I should probably just say that.
Iterate. Yeah.
We're done with California.
Yeah.
Please
We're
don't
moving
tune
on. We're moving on.
Please don't tune out.
So over here, we're looking at confirmed Indiana Jones is happening.
Indiana Jones and the
Encanto track. Or Indiana Jones.
No, they gave it a name, didn't they?
They didn't. I gave it a name. I said it's Indiana Jones and the Feathered Serpent.
Oh, I didn't. Twitter?
Yeah.
You didn't text me that.
No.
So, okay.
Yeah. But I was like thinking, I'm like, we are definitely getting a reference to like mythology here. Like you're doing the same thing you've done in the rest of Animal Kingdom where we have a creature who is mythological, worshipped by the people or has some type of spiritual significance. And now we're incorporating that into the attraction because it's about how animals are incorporated with like people. Like it's that relationship between people and animals. And now you build an Indiana Jones ride that just gives you a framework to talk about that. Great. Phenomenal. It fits. Like people were like, Indiana Jones doesn't make sense here. It's like, no, actually you could really make that work.
It doesn't make sense, but you can make it work.
You can make it work. Absolutely.
Because Indiana Jones is not an animal explorer.
No, but he explores mythology and paleontology and archaeology and like they have a crossover. Like you can make that thing work.
Yeah. And the reason it's happening is because Dinosaur is the same track.
Same exact track layout. Same vehicles. Vehicles are basically, it's like the shell has been flipped.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny because it's like the back of the Jeep is the front of the Jeep over
it's
there.
Just funky.
Yeah. It won't take that much for them to change all that around.
Yeah. And half of it's broken anyway. They're just going to rip it out. So I think the coolest thing we'll get out of it, I mean, the whole thing will be cool, but like I think the queue will be very cool because that'll be completely new.
Yeah. And they already kind of teased out like it's going to be like an archaeological dig. It's going to be like very like tropical in the jungle, and you're going to have like you could probably put bones in there and reference kind of dinosaur in some way. You have some dinosaur bones in there. The temple facade, like having something that tall. Which, I forget what podcast was talking about it, but part of the intent is to have something that's tall enough so that when you enter Animal Kingdom, you see the Pandora Mountains on the left and you see a temple in the jungle on your right.
Yeah, nothing draws you to Dinoland.
Nothing
USA.
at all.
You don't even know it's there.
There's no
There's a
weenie for
bridge.
you. Yeah. So now you're going to have something tall enough that it reaches over the canopy slightly. So that way you see it and it makes you think, do I want to go over to Flight of Passage or do I want to go take a right and go on the brand new Indiana Jones ride? Also based off of the Indiana Jones here in California, the Indiana Jones Adventure, getting those updates, those new projections, new story beats, and actually making the ride better and plussing it while still making it thematically appropriate. I am very hyped for this attraction. Like a modern WDI take on Indiana Jones, I think they're going to do a phenomenal job with.
Encanto, we have the casita.
It's going to be an e-ticket ride. The show building is massive in the model. Like you can see in the model, you can see how they're going to build the mountains of the casita, or the mountains of the Encanto around the casita in a way that hides the show building. So like I forget if it's not in this view, but there's one view in particular I remember sharing.
It's just behind it.
Yeah, it's behind. You can't see it because the facade works and everything. Very similar to other like quote unquote haunted mansions
one
around
of
the world.
The sickest queues we'll ever go through.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
If they really lean in the magical crap, dude, magic bands.
Yeah. When you think it's going to be even just looking at the front of the house, imagine the show that the front of the house is going to be when it's alive.
That's what I mean.
And then you go inside it, like so good. But that's going to be an e-ticket attraction for sure. Like Encanto is a huge thing for the company. Like it's important.
Will they call the next movie Encanto?
No, we're not doing that. I'm sick and tired of these twos. We stopped titling movies now. They're just twos. No.
Encantos.
Nah. No, thank you. But anyway, Tropical Americas is happening. Like that's.
Wait, is Moana 2 Moana 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hate it so much. I'm like, and now they're going to do Frozen 3 and 4 back to back.
Yeah.
And they're going to.
It's not Frozen 4. Frozen Fjord.
Oh my God.
Okay. I could do this.
We used to title things
all day.
We used to be a proper country.
Yeah. Okay. So do we have any glimmer of what this could possibly be, or
no
just
idea?
E-ticket?
Just e-ticket. It's going to be the big ride.
They're not going to do another like Phantom Manor type.
But it's going to be a family ride. It could be there is no trackless dark ride in Animal Kingdom.
No more, man.
Yeah.
Wait, could this be the multi-level thing that they were going to do the Avengers thing as?
No, the Avengers thing. I have other rumors for that.
No. Remember you had mentioned like a multi-level trackless thing, or did we talk about that here?
Maybe you talked about it here.
I think we talked about it with you, but we were spitballing.
Yeah.
So that might, never mind.
But the Omni ride system that was being developed for the Avengers e-ticket, the jetpack ride system back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
What they patented and showed off and stuff. In the most recent thing with the patent, they show the ride vehicle being a clamshell. And I was told very nebulously that was intentional because that is the ride vehicle of whatever the new version is. And apparently is a Tokyo attraction that they're looking at post Space Mountain. So they already have the Mermaid Lagoon over at Disney Sea, and they would be able to add a brand new attraction that would be Little Mermaid, but it would use, again, that Omni, like their version of a Kuka arm that can transfer. So they could basically transfer from it being like suspended to being like.
So we're swimming
exactly
through the ocean.
So you can actually get moments where you're suspended versus when you're up above the water. Like they're working on things. But either way, it's like that's not going to waste. It's one of those things where Tokyo sees something, and then they copy and paste. They see something at WDI that the WDI intended for something else, and now they're going to take it and use it. Which is back at Tomorrowland. That's exactly what they did with I guess our version of Buzz. So it's like we'll see what happens. Either way. Tropical America is happening. It back in the day, everyone was complaining about blue sky, blue sky, blue sky. I'm so upset about it.
This is a land.
It's happening. It's not what they originally showed us, but the intention of changing Dinoland was there. It was what they announced.
Yeah, and they need this stupid carousel.
Yeah.
Because kids need the carousel. Mm-hmm. Like straight up, there are no rides in Animal Kingdom. 6? or 4?
Oh my gosh.
It's 4 or
don't
6.
remember. It's not enough. And they needed this expansion. Another rumor for Animal Kingdom outside of Tropical Americas is a Lion King attraction of some kind, a Lion King boat ride specifically. Yeah.
Well, like Hakuna Matata?
No, like think of it where you go to Harambe and now you're going to ride. It's like Tale of the Lion King, but it's a boat ride. And now you're going to go through with animatronics of it. I mean, you think Mufasa's coming out this year. Another live action Lion King. But part of the reason is because Lion King is such a huge IP. And they want a boat ride experience at Animal Kingdom. Not to mention Lion King is already a substantial rumor for the adventure park that's in Paris. As like, they got rid of Galaxy's Edge. That's not happening. Lion King is huge in Paris, but we're going to put in a Lion King expansion. So if they're going to do a boat ride, why not copy and paste? And you build 2. You build 1 in Animal Kingdom and you build 1 in Paris. And again, that's far off.
So would that be not here?
That would not be here. That would be over by Harambe.
Okay. So we got Indiana Jones up here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry I can't show concept art to YouTube. We have the carousel, which is going to be diegetic, right?
Yeah.
So it's
just Disney characters mixed in. Again, originally was going to be a carousel with Alebrije, and you'd be riding on the Alebrije, and it would be Coco. Even the restaurant was going to be themed there.
Is this a restaurant?
That's a restaurant. Yeah, that's already the I forget what it's called,
So,
but it's already existing.
So there's no Coco here?
No Coco.
We're getting Coco, my dude.
But we're getting Coco
In California.
Beyond Big Thunder.
In Magic Kingdom?
Yeah.
Huh.
So the Magic Kingdom rumors have been for Beyond Big Thunder, which Big Thunder Mountain's getting shut down to do massive refurbishment and retracking. But they're also going to create the infrastructure pathway to Beyond Big Thunder during the project. So very similar to what's happening over here with Critter Country getting changed out because you need to widen that walkway so you eventually have a pathway out to Disneyland Forward. You're doing the work now so you don't have to in the future.
Okay.
But talking about that, it's like that was supposed to be the villain's land. That was supposed to be this and that. And now the rumors that keep popping up, and I don't like them all the time, but it's like, okay, so we move from this basically new frontier land where we have Tiana's Bayou Adventure in New Orleans, and we're traveling west.
Right. How does Tiana's Bayou Adventure work over there? Is that just...
It's just there now because they haven't created a transition yet. So you're basically have like going from Liberty Square and making your way towards Country Bears. Now you're in like Tennessee. You're in like the Bible Belt or whatever it is. It's like that's kind of what they're going for, Smoky Mountains type of a thing.
Okay.
And then you go from the Smoky Mountains and now you're over here in the Bayou and Louisiana and New Orleans. And then you start traveling out west and now you get to Big Thunder Mountain. And then you keep traveling west and specifically southwest. And now you end up in the Southwest United States or Mexico. And now we're doing Coco. And that was always the transition is like, well, how do we transition from here? What do you do next to Frontierland? How do you keep going? And now it's going to be Coco. And then after that, it was going to be originally Encanto, and they're going to kind of do Latin America. And then all of a sudden it's villains for no reason. And then the villains transitions into Haunted Mansion. Now the rumor that started popping up, and it was I think it was Mickey Views or something like that. I'm like, I don't know about the reliability here. But it's also appeared on WDW Magic forums and everywhere else is that they want to put some version of Cars over there.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Because
I just had to pause. Like Cars in Magic Kingdom.
I think the reason is because they see it as you look beyond Big Thunder Mountain, you look beyond the Rivers of America. What is your mountain range? What's behind there?
Ornament Valley.
Yeah.
Are they just going to just stick Cars Land there?
I don't know if it's entirely.
They can.
They could.
No one will complain.
No one will.
No, well, theme park fans will complain about Cars Land in a castle park.
Yeah.
But park goers will be like, oh my God, Cars Land.
Yeah. But what if it's not entirely the same? What if it is like they do different attractions? So you think of our Cars Land and we have Mater's Junkyard Jamboree and we have the Luigi's Ride. What if they have different attractions instead? They do something different there. So yes, you get Radiator Springs racers in some manner, but you get other changes. Maybe they take the canceled idea of putting a a drive-in movie theater in Cars, and they put it in there. And
They have a drive-in movie theater.
They do, but why not do another one that's Cars themed? Just because it gives you an excuse to do something other than flows.
Oh, okay.
It gives you a sit-down restaurant.
Where's the drive-in? Is that in Hollywood?
It's in a Hollywood
and
studios.
it's popular, right?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty busy all the time. Like, it gives you an excuse to do that.
Well, yeah. It's okay.
So I think it's like you do that, or it's a different version of Cars. Either way, that's
the thing
rumor
is,
that's gone
Radiator
around.
Springs is Radiator Springs.
Yeah.
And as much as like people complain that Cars Land is an intersection,
Mhm.
it's what the movie looks like.
Yeah.
There isn't really much more to
No.
Radiator Springs, right?
No. But I do think that transitioning from Coco to Cars, okay, cool. We're putting two Pixar properties next to
Yeah.
each other, but they're both in the desert. They're both in desert landscapes. It works. There's a natural transition there.
Yeah.
It makes more sense than doing we're doing all the Latin American countries here, and then we're going to do villains.
Okay. Yeah. The villains.
There's
is where,
more thought.
Are they still doing the villains thing?
Yes, we're about to get to that.
Okay.
Villains is the rumor for villains is that's going to Hollywood Studios. That's going to be the Hollywood Studios expansion. They're getting rid of, they used to have an area called Animation Courtyard. They have a bunch of abandoned buildings. They have their version of Launch Bay. Their version of the Hollywood backlot is just abandoned piece of property that makes no sense.
I feel like with Walt Disney World and Hollywood Studios, because it's not a Disneyland, because like there is no redeeming quality like there is in our Tomorrowland. That is a just level it situation.
Yeah, that's a level it and you build it brand new. And it's the thing with villains is that, like, sure, you could put it in Magic Kingdom. That's kind of fun because then you can have like the Dark Kingdom or whatever you want to do there. But Hollywood Studios arguably is the park that needs that more.
Yeah, no one cares about it. You have Tower of Terror.
Yeah.
You can kind of fit into the
You can kind of do the scary stuff is at this park.
Go adult.
Yeah.
And this is your Epic Universe answer.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they're not going to answer with another park.
Their answer to Epic Universe is every single every park in Disney World is getting expansions.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Disney World is ridiculous.
Their response is, okay, you had your shot building Epic Universe. Now we're taking all the construction crews for the next decade. Like, that's the thing, is that their reaction is very calculated. And it's like, we're going to expand all of our infrastructure.
Okay. No, I'm not going to get into the layout of Disney World and how they need to make things like add things closer to each other. They just keep adding to the backs of things, which is annoying. But yeah, villains is just going to do well. It's just going to do well. Hollywood Studios has Fantasmic too, huh?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Hollywood Studios is one of those parks that there's not really anything unique that really drives you to go there.
What I'm saying is, like, all the villain stuff just works.
Yeah.
They just got to lean into it. And the only weird thing would be Mickey and Minnie's.
Yeah.
And like, I heard a rumor, Rock and Roller Coaster, no more Aerosmith.
Yeah, that's been coming for a long time, but I also feel like that's more of an iterative change and update. I don't think that that's going to be anything too dramatic. I don't think we're getting a
Swiftin roller coaster,
yeah, no.
Dude,
at one point, the Beatles is something that they talked about.
If they did a Taylor Swift roller coaster,
people would go nuts.
It would it would be the new Flight of Passage.
Yeah.
Every day. Forever.
I mean, it's one of those things where I almost wonder if they can really make Rock and Roller Coaster. We really can do multiple different bands. Like, we can just change it. It's just generic Rock and Roller Coaster, but it's not starring Aerosmith anymore. It's kind of starring something else. They're gonna Rip Ride Rocket, which is the roller coaster over in Universal Studios where you can pick the song.
Oh
yeah, but they're getting rid of that coaster. They're changing that out. So it would be interesting if Disney is like, oh, you got rid of that. Now at Rock and Roller Coaster, you get to pick the song. Either way, again, like Hollywood Studios, like that's their next thing is villains. Like that's what everyone's basically been saying. I'm with that. I think that that's a wise assessment. That makes sense. It would be interesting to see if that's our Hollywood land replacement over at DCA.
Oh, villains?
Yeah.
Dude, could you imagine the drinking park with villains?
Bingo. Also the park that you already do Oogie Boogie Bash in. And now you have a permanent villains land.
Man.
Makes too much
Oogie's
sense.
Mansion.
Makes way too much sense.
What would that be called?
I have no idea. But it makes sense. You
Yeah.
just throw that in there. It's a back alley in Hollywoodland, and now you end up in very Toontown style. You end up in the villain's world.
Yeah, and dude, you can even like the collector's warehouse.
Yeah.
There's your transition. He is a villain.
He is a
You
villain.
get rid of that stupid Avengers wall,
Yeah.
and yeah, wow. But that's
Yeah.
they're gonna put it in Hollywood first, see what happens.
Yeah.
I assume.
See, and that's where it's like, okay, cool. We're talking about like what they should do. Like, are they actually going to announce that? Yes, I do think they're going to announce Villains Land for Hollywood Studios. I don't think we're getting Villains Land announced for
No.
Hollywood Land, but I think that that's down the road. Is eventually like they're going to do it in Disney World first, and if it's successful, we'll port some ideas over here.
Yeah.
Let's
Man,
see.
just wait for your
Anything we're
poison
missing
apple
here?
cocktail. Oh, we got Epcot.
Epcot, which we have test track redo.
Will we get some more art? That's it.
Maybe. Rumors after that, Spaceship Earth finally gets its due. They finally redo that because it's falling apart and it needs it desperately.
Is it just going to be the same thing though?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
I think they're gonna
Rain
stick
didn't
with it.
notice this. The track, like, thunks,
Yes.
and it's annoying because you
Mhm.
feel it too.
It wasn't always that way, but it's gotten worse with time because it's just age. They need to basically retrack the whole thing.
Yeah, I can't imagine them. Well, it is kind of boring. I like it, but no one cares.
No.
But I can't imagine what else they're gonna do. So
No.
they're just gonna fix it a little
They're
bit.
going to fix it. They're going to add in the changes to the story to make it so it's no longer about communication. It's about storytelling and how we tell stories, which is
Okay.
already easy to do with the scenes they already have. It's super communication and storytelling are super close. It
Yeah,
doesn't
they
take
can
that
literally
much.
still talk about how papyrus was used to write stories. Like,
One of the rumors has been for here at Disneyland for the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln is that we're going to get a Walt Disney animatronic or a Walt Disney intro.
I was gonna say, is Steve Jobs just gonna be Walt Disney now?
Or do they add Walt Disney to in animatronic form? They add Walt Disney to Spaceship Earth because you already you already
Dude, how
make him for
freaking
them.
like whoever's working on that,
Yeah,
they're gonna be like crapping their own pants. Like,
because I had to make freaking Walt.
I
Disney.
have to make a Walt Disney animatronic.
Yeah,
That'd be freaking wild, dude.
but they do it. I like. I'm just imagining at D23 they do announce like, okay, yeah, we have changes coming to Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, and we're actually bringing Walt Disney. Like they bring Walt Disney on stage.
He just walks out,
Oh my god.
free walking. You saw Groot? He was actually Walt Disney the whole time.
The whole time. Pull off his mask. There he is.
Oh my god,
Man.
dude! It's too soon. I think.
Yep.
It's good. That would freak people out a little bit.
Yep. Two other things for Epcot. Let's see. So we have Figment.
Yeah, he was walking in a WDI
Yeah, they're
after the meet
they're
and greet,
going
right?
to announce. Yeah, they're going to announce something for Journey into Imagination.
For sure.
I don't know what they're going to do to and what extent it's going to be. The other rumor has been that Inside Out was already planned to have representation at Epcot. It's kind of where is like, does Inside Out go to complement Figment in the Imagination Pavilion, or is it where we're going to take, Inside Out and it's going to go to what was going to be the Play Pavilion? And now the Play Pavilion is going to change, and it's going to be it was somebody came up with this whole thing where it's like instead of it being the health and life pavilion, now it's going to be the mental health pavilion.
Man. So, dude, you make that the world of Inside Out,
Yeah.
especially now.
Oh, people are going to go nuts.
Yeah. And
Like-
they won't have to do much.
No.
But also, Journey Inside Out with Figment.
Yeah. Well, you just think of
Figment
it.
could ease your imagination.
He's your figment of your imagination. It would be so easy for them to tell a story. And I know that they've had Pete Docter, the director of Inside Out, say, oh, I don't want them to get rid of this thing. But what if they complement each other? You already referenced Figment is in Inside Out.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, there's a reference to him. I think he's in a painting or something.
Oh. In the mind or
In the mind.
oh man.
It would be so easy for them to do. You're going on a journey into Riley's mind, and then you take a detour to her imagination, and Figment takes over the tour.
Will they make him less annoying?
I don't know.
He's really annoying, dude.
in the right.
I wanted to strangle him.
There's no charm.
I was like,
left,
people
yeah.
like him?
Well, he used to be charming, and he used to have a character called the Dreamfinder that balanced
Yeah,
him out,
yeah.
and that doesn't happen anymore.
They still have the track down there.
Yeah.
Because I didn't notice it, but when I watched the video, you can see like you go to the little photo area and there's just like vinyl flooring.
Yeah.
And you can see the layout of the track because they put like a cap over it, basically. So, yeah, I think a big thing with Epcot is everything needs new vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Spaceship Earth needs new vehicles and Figment needs new vehicles.
Yeah. Which is it's so funny to me because they just announced, they're like, and we're capping off Epcot, guys. We did it. We finalized the project.
Like, you did?
And now I'm like, are they still going to announce? Like, I don't know if this D23 is the one that they announce. Spaceship Earth and Journey to Imagination. They might tease Journey to Imagination because they already did it on social media with Figment. But they also might not because it's further away, because they're going to start doing Tropical Americas first. But, the truth of all these, like the fact that so many of these rumors have popped up is, again, post-Epic Universe, they're going to be building everywhere. We're doing it. They're popping up like daisies. We're doing it all.
I forgot to tell you, did I send it to you guys? The inspiration for Communicore in the Defunctland video?
Oh, my God.
Dude,
it's there.
It's there.
It's exactly.
I got it. The Twitter broke when I tried to tweet it.
That's good.
But I'll put it back.
Definitely do.
Yeah.
Mary
Poppins. Done.
Not happening.
Dunzo.
Done.
No one cares about Mary Poppins.
People love it. It's a classic.
Paddington, dude. Listen, if Disney could get the Paddington rights, they'd put the Paddington ride there.
I feel like Mary Poppins might happen, but way further down the road. They have other things to do first.
Make it more classic Mary Poppins again.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, I don't want to say it. Julie Andrews getting old. Have her record some stuff,
I don't think I think as an IP, it's just so far buried and not relevant enough anymore. Like, it's always going to be classic. You're always going to have Mary Poppins as a walk around character at a park or something like that. But to build an entire attraction, like, they would have to be so desperate to put things in that they needed to make it happen. And they aren't. The only way that I see Mary Poppins getting revived at this point, Oriental Land Company.
Oh.
But I don't think Mary Poppins is popular enough in Japan for that to happen.
They can make it happen. Like, they can make it popular.
Yeah, they could if they wanted to, but I don't think they're
everyone
interested.
dresses like her.
Yeah, that's
they
true.
love that style, the frilly dresses. It's a thing.
Real quick, just going over, they won't talk about Tokyo during D23. They rarely do. Last time they only did because the guy who made the deal and is in charge of was in charge of the Oriental Land Company was physically there. It was funny. I was actually in the parks with Jeff, and we saw him on tour. Like, they were wheeling him around the resort into San Francisco so he could see it.
Wow.
But it's super funny. Yeah. So sometimes they'll have some representative there and they do that, but they're not going to talk about it. They will only name drop Fantasy Springs in reference of what they're thinking about doing for Disneyland Forward. That's the only time that they're going to mention that. In terms of the overseas park, going first with Disneyland Paris, again, I was talking about Avatar and Lion King are things that they're thinking about as future expansions. That's basically it, like said. Disneyland Paris has other rumors and stuff like that. The one that I would love to believe the most is that their Space Mountain would finally no longer be Hyperspace Mountain. It would go back to being their version of Space Mountain, like a fitting,
it's
center
ridiculous that
Discovery
one is Hyperspace Mountain,
and it has been for a long time.
It never changed back.
Yeah,
right.
It's pretty much a permanent overlay. The good thing about it is it's the best Hyperspace Mountain, and
because you go to hyperspace.
It is so good. Oh my gosh, that ride was actually, I think, maybe one of my favorites in Disneyland Paris. Like, it really just left an impression because I'm like, you can do that with Space Mountain. Then again, haven't been on Cosmic Rewind, so I go on Cosmic Rewind, it'll take its place for sure.
Dude, everybody wants to rule the world.
Yeah.
It was the first. I think we actually did one other thing first, but that was basically the first thing we did at Epcot. All downhill from there. I almost cried. It's very good.
I have to.
It's very, it's spectacular. And it's a shame that it's Guardians. I have no idea what went on that ride. We did it twice. I don't know what the story is. I do know what the story is. Lame. Yeah. They're just yelling at you.
Yeah.
Like, just don't do it. You don't need a story.
No.
It could just be called Cosmic Rewind.
Yep.
But here we are.
In terms of Disneyland Paris in general as a resort, they are contractually obligated to build a third gate at a certain point. It keeps getting kicked back because they keep adding expansions to the Studios park. They basically went to their financiers in the bank and stuff like that. And they were like, hey, can we buy some more time by just fixing the park that we already have, please?
Wait, so how are they obligated to the third gate? What is?
They're obligated to the government to build a third park.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Because
It's part of their contract for the property because they don't own they didn't own the entirety of it. They were just partners in it.
France is so weird. They're like,
Very
we hate
weird.
you, Disney. Also build a third theme park.
Yeah. You're obligated to spend money here.
I had the idea. I forgot though. What's missing from that they're gonna do? They gave up on Star Wars there.
They did for now.
Yeah.
I think it's coming back. I think they're going to do a Mandalorian attraction. I think they're going to do that. Like they're not going to build Galaxy's Edge.
An adventure world
specific. I don't know. Discoveryland maybe. Discoveryland already has Star Tours. They've done Hyperspace Mountain. They could just go all in on Star Wars and build.
Which is a shame because Discoveryland's so unique.
Mm-hmm. But maybe that's part of the thing is we build a Star Wars expansion to Discoveryland, so Discoveryland gets to continue to be unique, and then you have your Star Wars over here. You get to have your cake and eat it too.
But third park, I mean, like
third park, I don't know yet, and I think that's the whole thing is they want to keep pushing it down the road because it's like we don't need this yet. We don't need this yet.
But like the cultural stuff that we're doing here doesn't matter.
It's in the 2030s, I think, is when they're supposed to build it. So it's like they have enough time for something else. All right, so moving on from there,
they're gonna do a fantasy park. I feel
I'm sure.
A Fantasy Springs, but as a park.
Yeah,
because they can make that happen. Imagine all the e-ticket
fantasy rides,
like Peter Pan e-ticket. You can fly. All that.
Throw Moana in there. You just do everything.
Yeah, the animation park. You know.
Yeah. In terms of other parks, let's go over to Hong Kong, where most recently they did they have a large pool of money that is already the city has paid for or set aside for more expansions. They already announced they were going to do an Avengers e-ticket, and then that kept getting kicked down the line. There have been other ideas. I've been told rumors that at one point they were going to do a Spider-Man attraction there, other things, and not web slingers. They had another idea in mind. Either way, something is going to happen there. Their Tomorrowland is going to get changed. I heard a rumor once that they were going to change their Tomorrowland entirely to Marvel. So right now it's only part of it. They were going to take over the rest of the land. So like say their Space Mountain becomes themed to Guardians or themed to the Avengers or themed to something. That type of a thing where that's the cheap option is we take the rest of the money set aside to building a whole new attraction. We just use that to overlay what we already have.
They're it's mostly a Marvel land there anyway.
So it'll be interesting to see what they announce. It's entirely possible that they say we're committed. The Avengers e-ticket's starting construction here in California right now, and we're going to build another one out there in Hong Kong. The original Avengers e-ticket was going to be exclusive to California Adventure for a period of, I believe, 5 to 7 years. And it was because the resort's budget was going to go to the Avengers e-ticket, and then that all got shelved and thrown down the line. So I don't think that's a part of that anymore. I think it's a part of the overall $60 billion being spent across the resorts. So now that means it's no longer exclusive. That means you can build it in other parks where you're already investing because you need to build the next thing.
Yeah, Hong Kong's not cannibalizing Anaheim.
No.
So.
Then we have Shanghai, where they are set to announce a new roller coaster. They already have like blueprints and stuff like that that have already been sort of like speculated about and leaked. And that rumors that it's going to be in Marvel Land. We don't know what the actual attraction is going to look like or anything like that, but they're going to add Marvel there because Marvel's popular in China. There you go.
Marvel is just more popular elsewhere, which is crazy. Like we're kind of getting over it here.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of past its mark, and it's going to take something really hitting to like jumpstart it again.
Well, what's crazy is like the Fantastic Four movies now just alternate timeline. They're like, you know what?
We're doing an entirely alternate timeline Avengers. We're going to show you all of these things, and then we're going to kill everyone off so you understand the gravity of the situation. Because that's the whole entire thing is Fantastic Four. It's like we're going to show you this whole world. We're going to make you care about it. We're going to show you these alternate stuff, and then we're going to kill all of them and only save the Fantastic Four so they get to go over to the MCU and be the harbingers of doom. You know, that the universe is collapsing because they need to basically create a new jumping on point for people who jumped off at Avengers Endgame. And really, the hope is that that's Deadpool and Wolverine, but we don't know that for sure. So Fantastic Four gives
they're
you
doing
another
the crazy.
They're giving fans multiple points where you can jump on from if you're an X-Men fan.
The thing with Deadpool and Wolverine though is like if you didn't watch Loki, you should be like, what
is going on?
Who?
But that's why they're going to introduce them again. It's like they
do kind of get.
They're going to give you those opportunities. They're going to give you those things, and that's like it's rated R, so it's like not all the kids are going to watch that. Where Fantastic Four gives you a proper on point. So it's like they took a second. They said we didn't plan all this stuff, and it all got spaghettified. It's all Marvel's falling apart right now. We're going to fix it, and there's only one way to do that, and that's kind of hard reset. We're giving you a new frame of reference. Now let's go into the new Avengers movie. That's where everything's going to lead into that new, Avengers 5 going into 6. They destroy the MCU and then they go into their battle world and, prevail and create a new universe. Like that's, it's what's going to happen. We just have to have the moment where they arrive in the theme park and walk around real quick. That's just, Deadpool's going to walk in there and he's going to be eating a churro. That's just what's going to happen at Avengers Campus. Deadpool walk around character, but he has to reference the fact he can't curse because he's at Disneyland. Can't wait. So excited. But yeah, Marvel, it'll be huge. Like they have other things to talk about besides the Avengers e-ticket. So, Marvel's going to have a presence. They're going to bring Kevin Feige out at the presentation. Let's see, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Paris. Tokyo is its own thing. Yeah. That's everything. Disney Cruise Line, they just get more announcements for that. They just keep talking about the ships they already have and they keep on building them.
And despite whatever review, people love them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about? Anything else?
We went hard on Tomorrowland. I considered just doing that as the whole episode and just be like, all right, we're done. But
it's front loaded on that. But there's, and that's the thing too. Is
we went to DisneylandForward, which people love it.
Yeah,
I don't care about DisneylandForward because it's so like not real. But people love it.
It's not real. It's not. It is real as much as Beyond Big Thunder wasn't real. And then you start getting permits, and you start getting we're going to build construction stuff here.
You know what it is?
It's
that we could replace Simba a lot.
Yeah,
but like Tomorrowland is there.
Yeah,
and
you could see it.
Yeah, it is there, and whatever they do to Tomorrowland is going to be what is there because they can't go behind it.
No,
they can't go anywhere else. It's just what it is. So it's just like you can imagine the boundaries.
Yeah,
where it's like, oh, this big land with water and a volcano. It could just not be that. Yeah. It's like we look at the art and it can be, oh, it's exactly that or similar.
Yeah.
Or hey, instead of the water, it's a desert now. Yeah. Like we just changed it, So that's what it is to me. But a lot of stuff happening. I do think it was very silly when people were like Epic Universe, Disney's got nothing. It's like, guys, what do you think they're doing? They knew.
Yeah,
they knew.
But it's also like, I think the whole time it's like Disney is always like, you just have to follow through with history. It's a reaction to what happens. Like last time Universal opened a new park, it was Islands of Adventure, and it wasn't the success that they planned on it being. So it's like, you can't be overly you can't be already building new, like you can't be building brand new things and then be like, okay, we're going to compete in the same summer. No, you have to let it breathe. And then you get to have your comeback.
Yeah, because, when does Epic Universe open?
Next year.
Yeah. I've been hearing that Walt Disney World is very soft right now.
Yes. But the whole industry is soft.
Travel.
So travel is soft. So it's like not exclusive
Disneyland
to
is soft right now.
It isn't, yeah.
So, and it's also very hot though. The locals are not there right now. No. It's too hot.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever. Guys, the world is a vampire, but the world is going to be here for a very long time.
Yeah.
And we're just like, don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
It's all going to be fine. It's all going to be here tomorrow.
But, know that, cool and exciting things are happening. Like, it's like right now at this moment, it's like there's a lot of money that's being laid aside for actual investment. And that's a good thing. And we don't hear about money being laid aside very often. Like, that's the thing that made this whole thing special, was like actually telling your shareholders and telling them, like, you're not saying this at a presentation. You're telling your shareholders, we are setting aside $60 billion of investment, and we're, filing with the SEC and all this other stuff. It's like, that's the type of thing that means something. That's not just, we're joking around here. We're just announcing some new thing that we don't plan on building. And that's just what gets me really excited. Like, that we actually are going to have a good D23 this year, no matter what.
I really not every year so, is. Man. I really hope so.
I have been let down by the last like 2 D23s in a row, where it's like I take away some good thing. Like, I was like, cool, new Downtown Disney expansion. Oh man, that looks really nice. But that's not what I want. I want a new Tomorrowland. I want this and that.
Then final thought.
Yeah.
Porto's art?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I hope they have it solidified by D23. That would be good. But I don't even know if that is...
Will we get artwork for ESPN Zone and Rainforest?
No. Not yet.
No
not
entrance
yet, because they
down
haven't
there?
changed that yet.
No. All right.
Not yet.
All right.
Eventually, that's all gone and replaced.
They won't say it there, but I think soon we'll get some sort of blog post announcement of the closed entrance to the hotel.
Yeah.
Because that
But,
is weird.
Stuff like Portos, like that feels more like that. This D23, because they have dropped so much information on the Parks blog instead, that feels like a Parks blog
Yeah,
post.
they keep doing those big Downtown Disney posts.
Yeah.
And Downtown Disney has an Instagram now, so we'll get it there.
Yeah. So there we go.
Porto's art, though. Oh, I don't know what I'm pointing at. Porto's art D23. I'm just going to say it because it's so silly.
I don't think we're getting it. Even last time when they announced it and then they had Porto's brought out to everyone in the D23 hall. Here's your gift, guys. Free Porto's sandwich. Enjoy.
I'm going to say my silly, like, they're going to screw us again prediction.
Yeah.
Hey, you like those projections on Space Mountain? We're painting it blue and red.
God.
You heard it here.
We're making it permanent during the day.
You heard it here first.
Guys, you know how much you love retro things. We're bringing back Tomorrowland 98. We're painting it bronze again. We're bringing it back.
Dude,
guys,
people don't even
Rocket Rods
remember
2.0. Get ready.
That would be cool. Rocket Rods 2.0 would be cool if it didn't slow down all the time.
Guys, we know we failed the first time. We're doing it again.
Yeah. I had a... No. It's past. All right. So that is our Big Thunder topic. So if this is your final stop...
Thanks for tramming with us today.
And if not, it's time for We Have It So Good, where we and the Tram fam talk about our trips to Disney parks and more, right in with your trip recaps at trammin.com/ask, just like Carlos R. did. So he writes, as Brandy's uncle, I am really looking forward to her wedding, and Rain is already part of the family, so it's going to be a highlight of the year for our family. Both Rain and Brandy know I'm usually a casual dresser, but I decided to rent a suit for the special occasion. I didn't want to purchase it because I more than likely never have another opportunity to wear it. So I went to Friar Tuck's to see if they offer rental suits, and they do. So as I'm getting fitted for the suit, me and the guy fitting me started chatting it up. Anyone who knows me knows I talk to everyone. So he asked what the occasion was. I told him my niece is getting married. He asked, where did the groom and his groomsmen get their tuxes? And I said, with you guys. So he told me, what's their name? And he looked you guys up and said, here they are. I'm going to give you the discount that they got. Cool. So thanks for the discount on my suit rental. Can't wait for the wedding day. Really looking forward to it. Keep up the good work on the podcast, Kirk and Rain. Yeah, I thought we mentioned it here, but maybe not. But yeah, anyone going to Rain's wedding, if you want to rent a suit at Friar Tuck's, you get, I think it's like 20% off or something ridiculous. So yeah, you just go mention Christian Rainwater and they'll hook you up. So I have not gone. You gone? No. Yeah, we haven't. We'll be at the park soon. So we do have it so good. Thank you, Carlos R, for writing in. Also, Selena's dad, shout out. He wrote it in the little thing. So, Freddie, what time is it? Just say it's.
It's pizza time.
It's time for one last bite. Freddie, as always, what is the best thing you tasted this week?
So most recently, I traveled down to Mexico, to Tlaltenango, and went to go visit with my wife's family and spend time with them. It was for our niece and nephew's quinceañera.
Were they twins?
Yes, they're twins.
Yeah, I saw the picture. I'm like, they look like twins, and I was busy and didn't text you back. But yeah,
it's okay. So really fun. Got to spend a lot of time there. Her dad has like a huge ranch, which is really fun to like go spend time with. They got cows and corn growing and a bunch of stuff. But yeah, had a really good time. Ate amazing food. There's one taco place in town. Oh gosh, it had like Primos in the title or something like that. But just had some of the best tacos I've ever had in my life. Just phenomenal. Half the time I don't know what I was eating, like what it was called or whatever it is, but it was good. Just like, you know, as my wife says, it's not, you know, when we say, oh, we're going down to Mexico, everyone's like, oh man, cool, like Cancun, like stuff like that. I'm like, no, we're going to Yeehaw, Mexico. Man, and I wanted to buy a hat so bad, like one of those actual like full on cowboy hats.
Oh, with the coating on it?
Hell yeah.
Oh man, the plastic. It's not plastic, but
it's not plastic. It kind of feels like it.
Ridiculous.
Dude, I was looking to buy a hat in town, and the guys they wanted to charge me like $130 for it. And that's not pesos. That's like American dollars. Like that's the translation there. They're expensive. They're not cheap. You can buy a cheap one, but just like the store I went into was not the cheap one. It was the actual, like, this is where people go to get their good hats. Yeah. So anyway, just really good food down there. Just really good spending time with family and just having a good time.
Nice. Yeah. So for me, I'm gonna do a little quick triple threat. On July 4th, my dad made a Wagyu steak. It was like the ones at Costco. It wasn't an A5, but it was more steak-like. So you can actually like cut it and eat it.
Nice.
Delicious. Kimmy's cousin Omero and his dad Omero they grilled some stuff. The senior grilled some chicken, delicious. But later on during the 4th of July celebration, they ran out of tortillas. And shout out to Kimmy's uncle. He was like, "What kind of Mexicans are we? We ran out of tortillas." So Omero they had a bag of jack cheese, and he had a comal with him. So he just threw the cheese on there in a circle and just burnt it and made a tortilla out of cheese and put the carne asada on it with some guac. And it was absolutely delicious. So I'm going to give that a shout out. I'm going to show Freddie and none of you can see it. But Kimmy took a picture. Like, there's no way that this would be bad. I'm sorry. It's just like,
oh, wow.
Burnt cheese.
Yeah.
So, and finally, we went to this place by my house called Habibi Grill. We had like shawarma and stuff, whatever, yogurt, but they had this hummus. And I don't know if it was just because they put a bunch of sumac on it. My mom makes hummus. I've had fresh hummus my whole life, yada, yada, yada. This hummus was phenomenal. So I just want to shout out to Habibi Grill, La Mirada. Check it out. They have the fries. They do that thing too, falafel, whatever, but their hummus, absolutely spectacular hummus. So shout out to them. And finally, Freddie, what is your one next bite? Next time you're in a Disney park or on property, one thing. It could be a drink, a bite. What are you craving?
I have yet to set foot in California Adventure recently. So I really want to go in there. Gosh, I need to get back in Lamplight Lounge.
All right.
I've been in a hot second. So yeah, I would say Lamplight Lounge, and not sure what to get on the menu now. What would be a recommendation?
They don't have anything like new, right? Have you had the potato skins?
Yes, they're my favorite. I love the potato skins.
Those are great. Classic lobster nachos. How long has it been? You know,
too long.
The burger. You know how
I
good
love
the burger is.
I get that all the time. Yeah.
The chicken, if you like bone-in chicken, is pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll go potato skins, man. They're so good.
I'm just gonna go grab some potato skins. You can get those upstairs, right?
I don't know.
I'll
They're
go up
so
there.
weird
They
up
have
there.
some good sliders up there, though. They have the bacon sliders. I like those.
Last time I had them, I didn't like them, but you never know. My one next bite, if I don't get into Lamplight, is going to be at Craftsman Bar.
Cool.
I assume Kimmy's going to get the breakfast burrito. Mm-hmm. There is a brioche French toast, but they have like this lobster Benedict.
Cool.
I'm a fan of the weird Benedict. So I'm going to go lobster Benny at Craftsman Bar breakfast. So yeah, that's all we got. We're going to head down back to Anaheim, not to the parks. So with that, thank you all for listening. And we will see you next week. What do I say? That's usually Rain's line. Oh, I say, see you real soon. Bye.
Thanks for traveling with us today, and we hope you have a happy and memorable visit to the Disneyland Resort. Please lower your head, watch your step, and exit to the driver's right-hand side only.